My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Corey, you said that security called you, right? This is Corey Watson, and this is the security guard that was monitoring with the Ontario International Airport yesterday morning. He's engaged with Securitas. It is currently 5:51 a.m. He is here walking around, and he is engaged in what is criminal summoning with the Ontario Police Department. Ontario Police, this is Corey Watson, 805 148, who was gang stalking with the Demon Ontario Police, engaged in criminal summoning together. And opportunity with, the gang stalker, that's Securitas, engaged in criminal summoning. And Corey Watson engaging in what is arriving pursuant to what is being summoned by Securitas, who's engaging in calling the police, where he's securing the park, and he calls the police while I'm here. And this is the entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct together. This is the Ontario Town Square, where I documented the fake sun, both at 6:20 in the evening and also at 7:10 in the morning, which you saw yesterday. And this is where Securitas is engaging, and he is engaged in what is the criminal summoning with Ontario Police. It's Corey Watson that's engaged in the threat that I documented last night at 11, that I'm documenting at the Starbucks this morning. Not this morning, at the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, just with regard to the entity that's arriving. Corey Watson is engaged in kidnapping on June 16, 2022. And he is arriving, again, while I am. The entity is engaged in monitoring. The entity is engaged in what is maintaining presence and summoning the police with regard to what is a threat for kidnapping. And I also want to be clear with regard to being present at Ontario Town Square. That is form for what is the entity that is stalking by the police, okay? The entity that is, again, engaging in what is, he's security. Yeah, he's not here in the morning when I arrived here, and he's immediately calling the police instead of asking people to move first, which is, again, you don't have to, but I just want to give form. The entity is engaging in calling the police for absolutely no reason, which is what this same security guard has engaged in before. And the Ontario Police are engaged in criminal summoning. So I understand that the entity is engaging in, for example, making up information like the Ontario Police and Starbucks did at 507 North Euclid Avenue. First, it's, because I need to buy something. And second, no, you not purchase anything. They just want you to leave altogether. The entity is making up information. This is Securitas that's engaged in criminal summoning, and Ontario Police are jumping on an opportunity to encounter me. And so being at Ontario Town Square is merely understanding a surface level. The entity is stalking the Ontario Town Square, knew where I was the moment that I got here, and so do the people of the state. This is the form for what is 5 in the morning, and he is here engaging in what is patrolling and gang stalking, like I documented in the morning with the City of Ontario, and he is summoning the City of Ontario as a form of what is threatening, because the Ontario Police Department are engaged in gang stalking and monitoring me. All right. And this is the entity that's engaging in what is waking me up by the Ontario Police Department, Corey Watson, the entity that's engaged in kidnapping and using it as an opportunity to approach. He's engaged in gang stalking, period. So I just want to make sure that that is clear. Being present at the Ontario Town Square is under no circumstances and not under federal law any lawful means of summoning the police that are gang stalking. Moreover, he is gang stalking, and Ontario Police and Securitas are gang stalking together by summoning the police, where the entity already knew where I was sleeping, knew that I set my alarm clock to get up. This is why they're arriving, and this is then form for the entity that is engaged in the pattern of conduct. This is the same one that was switching in the engineer light that I documented yesterday. He's engaged in criminal summoning with the Ontario Police in December of 2020, doing so while I am not even on the grounds besides visiting hours, which is the guise for criminal summoning now. But I want to be clear, the entity engages in criminal summoning when there's not even any surface level reason, meaning like Tracy Banks calling the police for no reason whatsoever, and then denying that she called the police, and then the police are there and they can't get their lie together as to why the police are there in the first place. So I've documented criminal summoning under many circumstances, and this same demon has committed criminal summoning when I am on the grounds between the hours that Ontario Town Square has, and form under all circumstances. But I want to be clear, being here before hours for Ontario Town Square is a surface level. That's meaning that's the form for what is criminal summoning. The Ontario Police are gang stalking 24 hours a day, and so is the people of the state. So I want to go through that. This was a form for harassing me, and I just documented this demon gang stalking, so you know what he's doing now, and you know what he was doing. I just documented him yesterday and has already committed. The people of the state are routinely using criminal summoning, and specifically Corey Watson is the entity that is arriving and communicating a threat. Oh, come on, Securitas called police and stated that you have to go. The entity is engaging in what is that form. I just want to be clear. The entity is anxious with regard to summoning the police when this demon is perfectly capable of stating that you have to leave, not stating that it's something that you have to do. That's not the point either. This is speaking to what is federal group stalking and monitoring, and that criminal summoning is an iteration of that, and that this was an anxious method of what is stalking by the same police department, and that this third party, who is also criminally monitoring while summoning the police, is also perfectly capable of requesting as security guard instead of just calling the police as well. I just want to be clear under all circumstances that it is P.O.C. and it's not less of a federal offense. But I do want to document that. And he's been engaged in targeting at the Ontario Town Square as a third-party gang stalker. Okay, but I do want to go through Corey Watson and the state actor are present, arriving at the venue. And this is the entity that is doing so, aware of what it is that I do. I literally set my alarm to get up before this demon arrives to engage in security. And this demon is here before 6 a.m. I set my alarm for 6:15 a.m. Communication devices, they're aware of what it is that I'm setting on my phone. Just want to be clear, Securitas is here and engaging in what is the form for what is criminal summoning, because if Securitas is here, then you have a what is cause for what is calling the police. Who called the police? Oh, the security guard called the police. And the security guard is here at 5:50 in the morning patrolling the grounds, and that's why the police are here. And Securitas is not here all night long. The park closes at 10. And Securitas is here. I've been here as early as 6 o'clock in the morning, where the entity is engaged in gang stalking just like they are now. And the entity that's engaged in what is stalking and commercial planes and using government planes, as I'm documenting UPS and United Airlines and Southwest Airlines. This demon was monitoring yesterday the city of Ontario, and he's monitoring now where the same city of Ontario is engaging in that pattern of conduct. Understand that criminal summoning is an iteration of that pattern of conduct. It is federal prison under all circumstances. But I also want to speak to what is before 6 o'clock in the morning, where Securitas is not here walking the grounds all night long. The park closes at 10 o'clock. Securitas leaves and is arriving before I woke up intending to leave the property, okay? And remember, the entity is engaging in what is gang stalking under all circumstances. I just want to get to what is the malice of that, okay? And that is literally him that engages in calling the police while he's engaged in monitoring me with the police. So having Securitas here, and I just want to note the early hour that they're here. Securitas doesn't secure the grounds all night long, so understand what's going on here. The entity having security here, because that's the form for, oh, call the police because you're on the grounds before the park is open. And the police are gang stalking. Securitas is gang stalking. Securitas is also here outside of what is the hours where Securitas is routinely present. If here before 5 a.m. is what is a means of hiring hours, if you will, that he's here. But I just want to be clear that he's engaged in gang stalking under all circumstances, even if his schedule has changed to being here at 5 a.m. Okay, this is the demon that's specifically targeting, and criminal summoning is a means of engaging in what is gang stalking with the police. And moreover, I'm also stating that Securitas is not here all night long, and also capable of being present here in order to be the form for who was calling the police to be at the town square. Okay, I'm stating that all of that is within the pattern of conduct of the entity that's stalking through the police and stalking through the people of the state, whom the entity summons when they're gang stalking together. And the same third party engaged in criminal summoning, which is what that is, because they're gang stalking. Criminal summoning is criminal conduct that's happening among state and the government that are gang stalking together. That's why the entity is stalking by plane over the Ontario Town Square, because he is monitoring right now. Criminal summoning is a criminal act, period. I'm giving you what is the practical ways in which the entity engages in criminal summoning, calling the police when they are gang stalking together. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 6:01 a.m. I want to go through that because the entity went to the extent to make sure that they called the police in order for the police to come and approach me, which is what they always want to do, so that they don't look, again, having a forum for approaching me as opposed to what they're doing at 11 o'clock at night when I'm publishing video onto the video of the internet, and they are announcing my name on the speaker when, again, the entity is aware of who I am. How you already know that I'm Erica, and you're surrounding me in the on Euclid Avenue in the middle of the night. And they also knew who I was then, and nobody is summoning the police at that moment, okay? And nobody has to, because the police are gang stalking, including Corey Watson. And the entity is, again, threatening while Corey Watson, a documented kidnapper, is the state actor that is present, and doing so before the entity knew that I set my alarm for 6:15 to be gone before Securitas arrives. All right, and the entity that's monitoring is aware of that. This demon is gang stalking under all circumstances. It is no less federal prison. I just want to go. That's why I'm going through all the iterations. Having Securitas arrive before Securitas is here, 7 a.m. Okay, but here before 7 a.m. before 6 a.m., 5:51 a.m. and not even saying anything to me, just immediately just calling the police, as opposed to what ordinary security is. Oh, well, you need to leave. I'm not even awake when the entity is present. They're doing it before I'm awake, because if I leave before Securitas is here, then Securitas is not going to be able to call the police. This was an opportunity to approach, okay? I just want to be clear how desperate the Ontario Police Department are in order to encounter me under some, again, it's not lawful when they're gang stalking, and that's what the Ontario Police are doing. They're gang stalking right now while the entity is hovering over Ontario Town Square using smaller planes, because I documented United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, and UPS, and the right here where the entity is rising the fake sun, okay? So they're gang stalking right now while the same iteration of that pattern of conduct is underway by the state that's using smaller government planes. He is gang stalking still. Securitas is gang stalking still, and that is the federal offense of criminal summoning. I am documenting this, and I'm also going to put it on the podcast. This is the entity that's engaging in that with the intent to harass while I'm publishing evidence on the video of the internet, and using specifically Corey Watson and this state actor, whose identity I didn't know. They're specifically using Corey Watson because Corey Watson likes to engage in joking, coking and joking, as though it's comical to engage in gang stalking as a police officer when he's engaged in kidnapping as a police officer, and there's nothing threatening or friendly about it. He engages in terrorism with a smile on his face. He's a psychopath, and he's a violent sex offender, and he is engaging in gang stalking right now, and he's engaging in gang stalking when he is the state actor that's approaching me before the demons knew that I set up and fully intended to leave before 6:30 a.m. I was going to be gone before even Securitas arrived, and this is the entity that's engaged in stalking me everywhere that I'm at, including inside of any place where I'm living, inside of any place such as Tracy Banks' apartment, and while the entity engaged in an unlawful eviction in order to engage in this sort of circumstance where you are sleeping outside and the entity is engaging in what is stalking you at all places. So I just want to be clear, there is no legitimacy whatsoever with regard to what the Ontario Police and Securitas, the people of the state, just engaged in. And I'm giving you the scenarios regarding how they are engaging in this and wanting to make it appear as though it's a natural consequence, and it's not. Their gang stalking under all circumstances. Moreover, Securitas does not secure the grounds all night long. The town square closes at 10. Securitas leaves. Securitas arrives again early in the morning, and this is typically 7 a.m. Under all circumstances, the entity is engaging in what is arriving while they're monitoring on my device, and I intended to be gone before Securitas would be here. The entity waking me up before knowing that I would be here, and using also Corey Watson. All of this is intentional, and they're literally gang stalking on video. The amplified train activity is impossible train activity. This is where the fake sun is rising and setting at the Ontario Town Square. I literally documented this gang stalker monitoring me with the city of Ontario as late as yesterday morning, and he's monitoring right now while the entity is flying over the square with small government planes. It's federal prison under all circumstances. Securitas's headquarters is in Switzerland. They are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, including right now while being the guides for what is stalking by the police, who use the federal offense of criminal summoning. Criminal summoning is not a lawful act. Criminal summoning is showing you the malicious act that the people of the state and gang stalking police departments use together. and doing so, okay? He doesn't even have to be on the watch, on the job. The entity is engaging in what is stalking. The Ontario Police can approach by themselves. They are equally stalking in the specific environment. The entity is delusional with regard to stating that, oh, somebody else called us and that's why we're here telling you that you need to leave. When the Ontario Police are stalking, I just want to be clear, but I'm going through the circumstance. The entity is engaging in the P.O.C. while they are monitoring on a ceaseless basis, which is what you're looking at here, stalking with light by a sex offender. That's Metro 102. That's gang stalking in relevant position, a demon in the parking lot stalking with a vehicle in the but the entity is engaging in this, and this is another iteration of criminal summoning. All right, it is currently 6:06 a.m. This is P.O.C. That was Corey Watson engaging in criminal summoning. And Corey Watson is the one that's announcing my name in the middle of the night while the demons are threatening me, stalking in the middle of the parking lot, and doing so while they're monitoring on my device while I was uploading the podcast. That was ominous stalking that the people of the state engage in, stalking you, sitting in relevant position to you at also greater distances as well, and engaging in that precise method of stalking with light, aiming their headlights at you. And it's not headlights that's causing light activity at a distance away. That's the demons that are stalking with light. And that is an ominous threat by a gang stalking, kidnapping department such as Ontario Police, who are hostile while I'm publishing evidence on the venue of the internet, where they're engaged in surveillance. And this is Securitas. That third party is that's relevant to federal prison. He's engaged in criminal summoning on more than one occasion. And he's engaging in that and having Securitas here in the morning so that the Ontario Police are able to point at, oh, why we're here right now and you have to leave the Ontario Town Square. Is the same gang stalker that is monitoring me, knows exactly where I'm at, and did so pursuant to what is an obsession with me. The Ontario Police are obsessed with my genitalia. The people of the state are obsessed. They're stalking together, and this is that pattern of conduct together. The people of the state with the state, okay? Acting directly and vicariously. At 6:08 a.m., this is P.O.C. I will be publishing this to the podcast, okay? And I will go ahead and upload it to the drive as well, because it's giving context regarding federal prison for the entity that engages in this. This is the same pattern of conduct where the entity engages in what is kidnapping, okay? Upon what is a criminal act by the government that is exercising authority that it doesn't have under the law, where they are engaging in what is, first of all, summoning the police, and then the police are exercising authority based on the execution of their jobs as law enforcement while they are enforcing property rights. This is the government that doesn't have a jurisdiction. They don't have authority under the law while they're keeping you under surveillance. With the people of the state and the state that is the Ontario Police are doing, that's the very malicious act, okay? And going to the extent to having the Securitas security guard here earlier than usual. And then this demon just going ahead and calling the police when he could very well, I just want to be clear, there's a reason why all these circumstances are relevant, because they're gang stalking. Aside from, you don't even have to go through all that. It's criminal summoning under all circumstances. The fake son, the entity gang stalking with the city of Ontario. You already know what the entity is doing. That's the Ovid Family Community Library. That's the town's, that's the parking garage where they're gang stalking. That's the 280 North Limit Apartments where they're gang stalking. It's federal group stalking and monitoring under all circumstances. But you're talking about what is federal prison, and I want to go through the malicious conduct, the malicious behaviors, the extent to which the demon possessed just want to be in my presence, including by wearing police uniforms and stating, hey, I'm here for X, Y, and Z because we were summoned by these people over here and we need you to do this, this, and that. And if you don't, then we're going to exercise this authority under the law when they're demons that are engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. And relevant context is that the Ontario Police Department are heavily documented. They know exactly what it is I'm doing on my devices. They already knew that I was here. So did the people of the state. And Securitas is here pursuant to what is the pattern of conduct. They don't even have a right to be here on the job. That's why I explain those facts to you. That's why this video is so long. Understanding the crime of criminal summoning, and it is equal to federal prison. This is what Tracy Banks is engaging on May 29, 2025. And then this is pursuant to making up information, which he engaged in December of 2020 as well, to create an encounter between the gang stalkers who are the Ontario Police. Under all circumstances, Ontario Police is being disbanded. And the entity is gang stalking in this video. This is, again, not sunlight. This is surrounding with engineer light. This is ongoing surveillance. This is where the fake sun is documented rising and setting at the Ontario Town Square. It is criminal summoning under all circumstances. Corey Watson, the Ontario Police are psychopaths who are gang stalking me under all circumstances. The entity is engaging in delusional behavior. They're engaged in surveillance, and then they're engaging in what is the outward form of what's supposedly policing with the demons who are the people of the state. All right, that's federal prison. It is currently 6:11 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is amplified plane activity. This is the entity that is patrolling over the Ontario Town Square. This is the entity that's doing so where the entity is rising the fake sun. Okay, it is 6:14 a.m. and this is where the Ontario Police Department are engaged in gang stalking via criminal summoning with Securitas, who is sharing in the elements of monitoring. And this is again where the entity is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, and criminal summoning is an iteration of that gang stalking system occurring under the guise of calling the police based on some sort of appearance of the necessity of the presence of the police when the police are gang stalking, malice, and the people of the state are gang stalking in the specific environment. And doing so, this is exactly what United Airlines is engaging in, crossing a path. Also audible activity, amplified audible activity. It's demonic. This is what Southwest Airlines and UPS are engaging in, what I'm documenting, and what Securitas is engaging in under the fake sun that I documented. And I'm also documenting the Ontario Police Department gang stalking at this same venue for a series of years, let alone 2025, from morning until into the sunset. Okay, so the entity is engaging in the P.O.C. It's currently 6:15 a.m. and this is Securitas that's both gang stalking me, as I'm showing you, and also engaging gang stalking me with the Ontario Police Department, gang stalking with the City of Ontario at the same time. This is P.O.C. That's malice, and you're witnessing mental illness while the malicious pattern of conduct is underway, and they are very desperate to engage in that by doing things such as arriving at work earlier than usual in order to be in the circumstance, creating the circumstance where, oh, there's a trespasser here, I'm going to call the police and have them remove the trespasser. That is, again, the people of the state are gang stalking. This is patrolling. The frequency of the planes, this maintenance of pacing, this is what they're doing. And those are demons. That's exactly what United Airlines, UPS, and Southwest Airlines are doing while they're flying right over this space. And there's no terminals where any commercial planes are ever going to be flying over 280 North Limit Apartments, like I documented. Delta Airlines, Alaska Airlines as well, Frontier Airlines, the entity that is gang stalking. Using the smaller planes is the same pattern of conduct. And United Airlines, the commercial airlines, are doing what the City of Ontario is doing now, directly in smaller planes, equally amplified audible activity in the specific environment. Okay, I just want to be clear, Securitas is gang stalking. Okay, and it's targeting, knowing exactly who I am. The malice inherent to criminal summoning is relevant to malice. You're going to federal prison. The police are gang stalking. So I just want to point that out. And the smaller planes is after I'm showing you the pattern of conduct by the commercial planes who are gang stalking while the entity uses any size plane. It's equally amplification, it's equally criminal presence, it's equally unlawful surveillance. And the entity just engaged in criminal summoning together, knowing exactly who I am, where I was sleeping, and engaging what is presence with regard to the malicious iteration of that P.O.C. This is the Ontario Town Square where ongoing gang stalking is underway. That's the pattern of conduct. And this is the demon that's engaging in that. Securitas is engaged in criminal summoning violation under Title 18, and it's engaged in monitoring with the Ontario Police Department and the City of Ontario that's gang stalking with commercial and smaller government planes, doing so while the elements of monitoring remain underway. This is the pattern currently it's 6:17 a.m. And the entity is engaging in this in concert. This demon is engaged in with AWOD and LaRouge on December 20th, 2020, criminal summoning, while engaging in what is interference with documentation. That's federal prison. He's engaged in gang stalking with the City of Ontario in in August of 2019, where the entity is keeping the fake sun. You'll see the fake sun rising. You'll see him prancing about, gang stalking with the City of Ontario that's hovering over these venues, stalking using commercial planes, okay? Monitoring me, and I'm documenting it. Securitas has been gang stalking for years, in other words, and just engaging in criminal summoning. This is, again, relevant for federal prison. So I want to document that. This is criminal conduct that's happening at the same time. It's a federal offense when they're engaging in criminal summoning. That's criminal activity happening with the police while they're monitoring together. It's all happening at the same time, okay? That's relevant to what Corey Watson, the Ontario Police Department, utilized to engage in targeting me at 6:18 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, as stated in the video documentation, it is currently Wednesday, August 6, 2025. And the city of Ontario's gang stalking, which you can see in the videos, I'm narrating it in real time. The same pattern of conduct of gang stalking that I'm documenting at every moment at the Ontario Town Square is underway, where Securitas, a gang stalker, is gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, a gang stalker, at the facilitating venue where gang stalking is very heavily documented, the Ontario Town Square, 224 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity is engaged in what is targeting with the people of the state. And the iteration of gang stalking occurs under the context of criminal summoning, where the entity is targeting directly and vicariously, and the gang stalkers who are exercising authority that they don't have under the law while they're engaged in criminal surveillance is requiring the criminal facilitation of the people of the state, who are then engaging in what is targeting I'm a target individual, so they're targeting while they engage in summoning the gang stalking police, which is a means of obstruction of justice because documentation is underway, but it's also a means of targeting and harassment, and also kidnapping, where the entity is targeting American citizens that don't know that they're subject to targeting in the ways in which the Ontario Police and Securitas are showing. This is how gang stalkers are targeting American citizens when they are engaging in what is the pattern of conduct. And Securitas is present with regard to what is nothing other than form. Form being, the security guard is the one that called us here, and they are the reasons why we're asking you to leave the property. When the Ontario police are gang stalking, literally in the video, gang stalking is underway while the entity is using small government planes as amplified audible activity at the venue where the fake sun is documented rising and setting at Ontario Town Square. And also using the documented kidnapper, Corey Watson, gang stalking under the fake sun at the U.S. Bank at Euclid Avenue and D Street. That's during the 9 a.m. hour. That same U.S. Bank is where Ontario Police is gang stalking. It's specifically Alex Escobar. That's gang stalking at 12:51 p.m. But that same U.S. Bank where the entity is gang stalking me by helicopter. Corey Watson gang stalking at the 507 North Euclid Avenue Starbucks at 6:30 in the morning. The same Starbucks where I'm showing you at 6 in the evening. The fake sun is there, and the Ontario Police gang stalking by helicopter. In doing so while I am documenting the pattern of conduct, and the entity engaging in kidnapping at that same Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue at 7:15 in the morning, where the fake sun is present as late as 7 in the evening. This is where Corey Watson is gang stalking. This is a psychopath engaging in the documented criminal offense of what is group stalking via criminal summoning, making up allegations, including feigning having the right to call the police, which you don't when you're gang stalking. But this is how the entity is using a system that is used to target American citizens, where criminal summoning is coexisting with what is federal group stalking and monitoring. License 90120A1, license 12465X1. That's an unmarked yellow truck with a demon that's gang stalking by crossing path, and doing so while I'm reminding you about facts of the entity that's gang stalking at this venue, including the Ontario Police under the fake sun at all hours of the day, and Securitas engaging in what is criminal summoning before today, and doing so while I am fully on the grounds, having a right like everybody else and not violating the law, which is the form for criminal summoning, when the entity is gang stalking you. I just want to be clear, criminal summoning is not an excuse. Oh, well, you broke that rule, and that's why they called the police, like the demon possessed those who are hostile to their demonic conduct, to their criminal activity in the United States being supported or substantiated or trying to rebut what it is that I'm exposing. There is no rebuttal. This is criminal conduct. And the entity gang stalks with the police by summoning the gang stalkers who are wearing police uniforms as the gang stalkers summon them while they are engaging in what is a method of targeting, because they're engaged in the pattern of conduct of targeting even when they are making up information or stating that they have some sort of property right. For example, Starbucks stating that it's private property, and it's not. They're engaged in surveillance. Just like right now, audible activity, monitoring me while I'm walking across the street. And what is Securitas doing? Securitas is gang stalking as well. That's the city of Ontario, by the way, the demons who you know are monitoring with amplified dumpster emptying, amplification, and light activity. And Securitas is gang stalking right now. This demon is going to federal prison. He's engaged in criminal summoning on more than one occasion, but the entity is engaging in what is malice. And by the way, the Ontario Police Department are very heavily documented sex offenders who are obsessed with my vagina. They know exactly when I'm pulling my panties down, and they already knew that I was at the Ontario Town Square. They are gang stalking with Securitas to maintain the appearance of, oh, I'm only here because they called us. That's what criminal summoning is supposed to appear as. It's malicious. Securitas is relevant for being present here, and being here present, I want to be clear, at hours that are
extraordinarily early, notably before I already intended to be gone. This is what the entity is engaging with: surveillance. So already knowing the hours that I intended to leave, and Securitas does not secure the grounds all night long. The entity will engage in whatever it is to support. Yes, they will. And I want to be clear, they'll be here from now on. They'll be wherever they need to be in order to engage in what is criminal summoning. All right? You're going to federal prison, period, when you're engaged in criminal summoning. This is how the entity engages in what is targeting you. And remember, American citizens that are going to be documenting in order to enforce their rights, the entity that calls the police on you is the entity that's threatening your liberty to deter you from documentation and to obstruct justice, to harass and terrorize you. All right, while they're gang stalking. License 9GMN129 and 9SF. I can't really see that one. You can scratch that. But this is 64760V3 while the entity is amplifying plane activity. And Securitas, this demon is gang stalking with these patrolling demons on B Street. Okay, gang stalking with the Ontario Fire Department, that's on B Street. The same demons that were sounding a fire truck monitoring me as I walk outside of the Ovid Family Community Library, where this population is gang stalking, knowing exactly where I'm sleeping. You're getting beyond this unpersuasive and illogical and delusional circumstances of gang stalking and doing anything other than blatant stalking conduct. And doing it while they are engaging in that pattern of conduct and, okay, we're going to make sure that the security guard is there, making sure that they're there before I wake up and I would leave, whereas you wouldn't have that encountered in order to make sure, oh, well, you can't be here. And that's what the Ontario Police Department want to be in my presence and state. They want to be in my presence. Those are sex offenders that are obsessed with my vagina, and they're obsessively stalking. And they're stalking right now while the people of the state are monitoring. They're stalking while the entity is pacing by planes over the venue, using commercial planes and using smaller planes, which are, it's the same government. CVT 3038, that's Arizona. And crossing path. This is license plate. Simultaneous audible activity, pay attention. License plate. Task Force Service LLC, XCS 9047. That's a Texas plate. And they are gang stalking with Securitas. Okay, the city of Ontario is a bunch of demons. They're stalkers, and they're maintaining audible activity and light activity with Securitas, who is here gang stalking, just like they are. Well, Corey Watson is here, and they're engaged in gang stalking me as well. This is the entity that is targeting. Okay. Targeting is relevant pursuant to what is knowledge of what I'm doing, keeping me under surveillance pertaining to any and everything that I'm doing, while you are engaging in the demonic behavioral pattern of maintaining a chorus of noise that is also present in activity, movement that is in what is light, that is engineered light. This is occurring in an environment where it's supposed to appear as the sun that remains over you all day long, and that's not the sun, it's not sunlight, and it's also not natural movement where people are minding their business. Everything that is occurring is pursuant to an ongoing rhythm as a person is being monitored. And that's what Securitas is engaging with the Ontario Police Department. And that's what they're doing now. Corey Watson is here as a means to a secure federal prison. Okay, so I documented Securitas gang stalking on video yesterday, and Securitas is gang stalking today. I'm doing so at 5:51, which I believe is when I started that video, is evidence of the malice with which Securitas is targeting. And the entity does go, and that's why I mentioned the entity does go to the extent to make sure that the security guard gets here earlier than usual, gets here earlier or whatever the usual time is. But getting here earlier, definitely earlier than the time that I anticipated to leave, and the entity does know that because the entity is monitoring on my device. So I just want to give that relevant context because the desperation with which the entity is gang stalking, that's relevant to the circumstances regarding your going to federal prison. 9NNG897, 9RHD304. This is what the government does when you don't know that you're being targeted and you are under the impression that you have violated the law as the government that is gang stalking you states it. But the government is the one that is engaged in stalking and monitoring you and targeting you. And you are even conceding to that when you are not aware of the fact that you are the one that is being victimized by criminal conduct by the government. Okay, this is exactly what is underway here when the entity is engaged in gang stalking me, engaged in theft of my vehicle, engaged in interference with my liberty right to be free from domestic terrorism and sexual violence in the workplace, to be free from targeting by the people of the state like Tracy Banks, engaged in unlawful eviction upon gang stalking me in the workplace. License plate, criminal summoning, license 9PYA544, and that's a sex offender monitoring vagina, stating that they're with the U.S. Army. License KHA6UV, that is out of state as well, that's Arizona. That's a sex offender. with a license plate that's referring to what is the U.S. Army while they're gang stalking. I'm at Metro 102 Apartments, and the fake son is in perfect alignment with me at Metro 102 Apartments where these demons are patrolling. License plate, another demon, 6XQN429. That's wearing a badge. That's a demon that's speeding through, monitoring where the fake son is at this intersection where this entity just engaged in criminal summoning together. All right, sounding sirens while you're crossing path in the engineered light. This isn't sunlight that's all over the buildings outside. This is the same block where the entity is keeping the fake sun no longer over Economy Inn at 7:15 in the morning, like I captured on video, where the Ontario International Airport is flying over south over that motel while on video, flying over my head in a helicopter. The same Ontario Police Department that Corey Watson is affiliated with, gang stalking me and relying on what is criminal summoning as the basis for presence. Okay, that's malice, and I'm breaking down that system, and you don't have any legitimacy. Criminal summoning equals federal prison. P667X0, and they're sounding sirens while they're crossing path. They're driving under a fake sun that's still here 12 hours later. 9JWL226. That is the people of the state are living gang stalking as a way of life. Doing so like this demon-possessed gang stalker working for Securitas as a place of employment. 8FMR814. 9KSV066, stalking, license plate, 8ZEZ114. It is currently 6:33 a.m. These demons gang stalking while the fake sun in Ontario, California remains over this block. And by block meaning I'm at the Ontario Museum of, I have been at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, but not even coming to the Ontario. When I'm remaining at the Tabor Professional Building, going to the Starbucks all day long, the fake sun does not go beyond that block. That's where the fake sun rises and sets. This is the entity that's gang stalking as I'm at the Metro 102 Apartments, but the entity has the fake sun remaining over the Economy. And the entity has the fake sun over me in Arcadia, California. I went to Las Vegas, Nevada on August 5th, 2025. Today is August 6, 2025, and the entity is maintaining the specific environment while keeping a fake sun outside of Metro 102, where they just engaged in what is the unintelligent system where you are proving that you are being stalked by the population that is stalking with the police, whom they're summoning as a malicious form of targeting you and threatening, especially when they're hostile, about what it is that you're stating about the demon-possessed chief of police, Mike LORENZ, who is a sex offender who is monitoring my vagina, because there is no sun that will be over me at 7:49 a.m. and also remaining over me in Ontario, California from Las Vegas, Nevada. That's where the entity is engaging in criminal summoning, and the U.S. Army is crossing path under a fake sun, where the entity is engaging what is gang stalking as an employee is getting to work earlier before my alarm clock goes off so that they can engage in that malicious and unintelligent iteration of a pattern of conduct under a fake sun that is still here, by the way, 11 hours later. Pay attention to the background, because that amplified train is impossible audible activity that you also hear at Tracy Banks' apartment at Woodside Senior Apartments at 408 West G Street, where it is impossible to hear inside of her apartment. It's impossible to hear in the parking lot, but I've documented it on video where the fake sun is not going to also be over her property. This is where the entity is indeed engaging in the P.O.C. This is amplified audible activity, the train activity. This is engineer light on the top of the building, and that's stalking with the plane activity. This is what United Airlines, Delta Airlines, Frontier Airlines, Amazon Prime Air, that's what the entity gang stalking with light activity. This is what the city of Ontario is engaging while you hear the amplified train, the peculiarized light. This is a demon that's pacing back and forth, who's amplified crashing dumpsters as a means of monitoring as well. They're driving an engineer light, creating light activity, and they're doing so while the fake sun is right here at the Ontario Town Square at the Metro 102 Apartments, where Corey Watson of the Ontario Police Department, that's both that officer and that department engaging in gang stalking, and these are demons that are tracking my steps. And I'm going to show you the fake sun that's here. Ontario Police are gang stalking right here on this street at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, where the fake sun's over the top of my head, the fake sun that's right here. The Ontario Police are gang stalking on video at approximately 6:22 p.m., where the fake sun is right here in alignment to me. Where the Ontario Police Department are gang stalking an aircraft, gang stalking through the amplification of train activity, which is also amplification. It's impossible to hear. The entity is sounding train activity throughout the city of Ontario because there's a train, so the demons surround you with ongoing train activity. This is a pattern where you're recognizing targeting, and this is also the clear evidence of targeting because the fake sun that is here while the Ontario police are gang stalking on this street, where the people of the state are gang stalking by residents, and Securitas is gang stalking this morning with the Ontario Police Department, because that's how much they want to be next to me, want to speak to me, want to encounter me while they are hostile, and showing that hostility by arriving and waking me up at the Ontario Town Square, which is a threat to your life, a threat to your well-being, a threat to your safety, and your engaging in psychological torture. This is monitoring with a child. License plate 9EUA892, and this is under the fake sun. So those are demons that are monitoring my vagina and having minor children engaging in gang stalking, using children to engage in criminal conduct, contributing to the delinquency of minors. This is where the Ontario City Hall is. I'm documenting at 10 o'clock in the morning, the Ontario City Hall. The fake sun is over my head while I'm looking at the headquarters where Paul Leon is going to be removed from the position that he's sitting in as a gang stalking mayor, doing so with the entity that is maintaining. It is currently, I want to be clear, 6:37 a.m. This is indeed the Metro 1 and 2 apartments. I've documented the fake sun over me in the middle of the afternoon at this same exact apartment complex. Documented the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department gang stalking me right here at the Metro 1 and 2 apartments at around 9 o'clock in the morning, where the entity has the fake sun over me at this venue. Documenting as the 2025, the entity keeping the fake sun in the evening, like I documented at 6:22, where at the Ovid Family Community Library, this fake sun is present at this same location where they're monitoring my vagina inside of the bathroom of the Ovid Family Community Library, where the people of the state are gang stalking with minor children, contributing to their delinquency, where the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct, gang stalking at 10 o'clock in the morning, where this fake sun is over me right here on C Street, over me, hovering over the parking garage and engineer light fields where the people of the state are parking their cars, gang stalking as a way of life, psychopaths who are demon possessed, and you're aware of their condition and their criminal conduct that is built into civilization here in California, that is gang stalking. The entity has the fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library. The entity is maintaining the fake sun in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's what I'm documenting. And August this year, August 5th, I go to Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm documenting the Nevada State Police gang stalking me as I'm driving into Nevada at 5 o'clock in the evening. The entity is keeping the fake sun at the Ovid Family Community Library. This is where Securitas is gang stalking under a fake sun that's still here after 6 p.m. and they're engaged in criminal summoning, knowing exactly who I am and where I'm sleeping. Gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department is the criminal act that's going to put this gang stalker that worked with Securitas in federal prison. Understand, it's not my ability to document and break down and create policy and show you what the entity is doing. This is, again, to someone else and also to myself. I've been subject to kidnapping by the entity that engages in criminal summoning. So my documentation is not meaning that you're not going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison for violating the rules as the entity is engaging in it. And the Securitas employee who's going to federal prison. This is the second time he engaged in criminal summoning, doing so with the kidnappers of the Ontario Police when they're all in this illusion. And I'm documenting this illusion because this is relevant to diagnosis and criminal conviction of the entity that is gang stalking. Metro 102 is a gang stalking community, just like Woodside Senior Apartments, just like Alvarado Gardens. All right, and the entity's keeping the fake sun while I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, documenting the sunrise, 7:49 a.m. The entity's keeping the fake sun right here. This is what I'm documenting, the entity that is hovering in commercial planes over the Ontario Town Square, the hovering over this same venue where the fake sun doesn't go anywhere. Where is it at 6 in the evening? It's right here. So this is where Paul Leon is gang stalking. The Ontario City Hall is right here, and the fake sun is jumping to be here in the evening, 11 hours later, okay, 10, 11 hours later. That's the pattern of conduct. And you're looking at people walking their dog, driving down the street, wearing badges on their vehicle representing the U.S. Army. The U.S. Army is engaged in gang stalking, in case you did not know that. License 82378S3, monitoring with the City of Ontario that's hovering in commercial planes and in smaller government planes, engaged in federal stalking on communication devices. And you know all of that information because the fake sun is remaining right here over me as I've documented the pattern of conduct. You're going to federal prison, and that's what Securitas goes out of its way to be here at 5:51 in the morning. So with regard to the malicious iteration of targeting me, which is gang stalking with Corey Watson, who's already going to federal prison. All right, this is P.O.C. It's currently 6:41 a.m. Remember, the entity is gang stalking. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. I drive through on the freeways. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me on the same day at the same time of year. This is relevant to who's going to federal prison and the crimes that they are clearly proven to be engaging in a specific environment where surveillance is underway. And that's getting to their mental illness behind gang stalking an American citizen in the first place, and doing so in the absurdly demented ways that the people of the state are. An engineered light under a fake sun, living, engaging in the pattern of conduct, a way of life, demons. 6 BFC 979. Gang stalking immigrants are being deported. P.O.C. The entity that gang stalks with children is the one that's also violating children. Those are the ones that are having sex with children while they're engaging in the pattern of conduct with children, via children, wanting you to see children, because that's supposed to rebut what it is that I'm documenting. Those are psychopaths that are going to be prosecuted as the predators that they are, engaging in sexual violence with kids. They're also engaging in what is exposing the threat that they are while they're gang stalking with children. Okay, everything that the entity does, the way in which that it does it is relevant to the threat that they pose while they're gang stalking under all circumstances. There's no son that can lawfully live without it while it's remaining over the Ontario Town Square as a matter of documentation for over 11 hours. And this is where the Ontario Police Department engaged in criminal summoning. This is where they're targeting with plane activity. This is where the people of the state are gang stalking. Have documented this whole block. Metro 102 gang stalker, the community, and the demons that are living at the apartment complex. With the entity that is gang stalking the Ontario Fire Department, American Medical Response, the gang stalking companies like Securitas, the gang stalking companies like the airlines that are gang stalking. And I want to make sure I get this third-party license 7EWT146. This is all engineer light. This is monitoring. And this is P.O.C. It is currently 6:42 a.m. P.O.C. All right, documenting the entity that is surrounding license B347E1. That's a demon driving a license plate representing what is a nurse's license plate. This is a male driving that vehicle. Not only is the license plate effeminate, but the vehicle is particularly effeminate, while again, it is actually abnormal to engage in the pattern of conduct as well. Never mind that he's driving what looks like to be someone else's vehicle. I'm going to keep my commentary out of that. This is a demon that's engaging in the sex offense nonetheless, gang stalking with the city of Ontario while pacing is maintained inside of this parking lot over here. That's what's going on while the demon, as I'm documenting her license plate, and this demon is driving in, they're pacing in engineer light under the fake sun. 8XMG980, 8EEY261, and maintaining that ongoing patrolling, okay? Another plane flying over. And this is what the entity is doing because I'm documenting Alaska Airlines, Delta Airlines, Amazon Prime, Frontier Air, UPS, United Airlines, and Southwest Airlines. And so they're doing the exact same criminal conduct and trying to and not succeeding in disassociating the criminal conduct of the airlines. That where there's no terminals where those airlines are taking off, engaging in anything other than the pattern of conduct flying over the Ontario Town Square, over Metro 102. And by the way, I've been gang stalked by the airlines, gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport for years. So it's not just today when now the government is gang stalking by using its own smaller planes, practicing its demonic system because the government thinks, engages in the pattern of conduct such that demons like B347E1 are supposed to be the mask where you're not able to identify the fact that it's the government that's stalking you. And that's the purpose of gang stalking through the population. Commercially speaking, that's what the government's tactic is behind using gang stalkers like United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, American Airlines, Delta Airlines, Frontier Airlines, Amazon Prime Air, UPS, Southwest Airlines. That's the theory behind that. The people of the state are going to be prosecuted also with regard to the misuse, the criminal use of a logo, which is relevant to psychological torture. It's relevant to the exact same unlawful acts of sexual violence. While they are making money upon gang stalking, that's the federal RICO case, and the malice of the government that is gang stalking with the people of the state in that commercial capacity. That's what you're witnessing while the same exact criminal elements of monitoring are underway in the exact same demonic environment. By the way, and it's directly prosecuting the people of the state who are living in the apartment building, who are living amongst the engineer light, who are pacing in the parking lot monitoring with the demons that are flying over the parking lot. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently, so you're paying attention to that because I've been documenting this pattern of conduct for years. I've been documenting them having a field day gang stalking throughout the city of Ontario using commercial planes. So there is no secret, and there is also no deviating from the pattern of conduct. The entity can use whoever they want because you're already aware of what the entity is doing with the people of the state on a ceaseless basis, whether they're using a smaller government plane or whether they're using the gang stalkers who you already know are United Airlines and Delta Airlines, American Airlines, and every other airline that is employed and published on the website of Ontario International Airport. They're gang stalkers. They're engaged in domestic terrorism. They're engaged in the perpetual sex offense. They're engaged in criminal summoning. They kidnap with the entity. They're maintaining aerial surveillance while the entity is engaged in kidnapping. That's what the Ontario Police Department are doing with Jason Knighton and Lester Keys in January of 2020. The Ontario Police engaging in what is monitoring. as amplified plane activity. There's no planes taking off over 636 North Vine Avenue. You're not taking off over the 7-Eleven. You are gang stalking with those demons of the Ontario police who engaged in criminal summoning today. Right now, they're engaged in criminal summoning under the fake sun, and it's clearly the fake sun when I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. On this day in 2024, I drive to Las Vegas, Nevada from Pasadena, from Arcadia. And I document the fake sun remaining over my vehicle the entire time. And I drive into the state of Nevada, and Nevada State Police are under that fake sun, engaging in what you are recognizing as criminal summoning. Okay, they're engaging in what is using, in other words, their lights and their sirens with the people of the state under the guise of, oh, you're speeding, oh, there's a warrant, oh, we're pulling you over. They're monitoring while the fake sun remains over my vehicle as I drive into the state of Nevada. And I'm documenting at the same time the entity keeping the fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library, over Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue, over Woodside Senior Apartments time of year analysis supplies at 408 West G Street, over me at the Ovid Family Community Library at 215 E.C. Street, which is right here. The Metro 102, the Ontario Town Square, where Securitas engaged in the federal offense of criminal summoning for which federal prison is required. The entity is engaging in that, and that's disincentivizing kidnapping by the police. The government cannot target American citizens unless the people of the state are aiding them by criminal activity creation, living, working presence in the environment, which is facilitation, and also criminal summoning. That is literally helping to communicate unlawful threats, sharing psychological torture, sharing what is harassment, sharing sexual violence, and sharing what is kidnapping as an entity, murder as an entity. When you're including the police in gang stalking, you're engaging in what is an unlawful threat to the life. You are gang stalking with police officers that intend to commit murder as an entity and get away with it, control the narrative. This is how you're disincentivizing at federal prison. You engage in criminal summoning, you're going to federal prison. You are definitely going to federal prison because I'm prosecuting the state. I've already proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the state is targeting, and these demons engaged in criminal summoning are all going to federal prison. There's no statute of limitations with regard to the government targeting you in furtherance of murder and kidnapping, by the way. All right. The entity is doing so while in Las Vegas, Nevada, while demons are hovering over Metro 102, while the fake sun is increasingly bright, where Paul Leon is gang stalking as a mayor. This is the proof of that. The fake sun is remaining in Las Vegas, Nevada over me, not just in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm looking at it from a distance. It's remaining over me at what is Courtyard by Marriott. That's the third party that's also gang stalking in California, while the entity is maintaining the pattern of conduct of what is the P.O.C. of surveillance in the state of Nevada. So I want to be clear, my case against the entity is one that's occurring across state lines, which is also another basis of jurisdiction of the federal government. But I've already established that, but I literally documented. Again, what you're going to see in the images is the ongoing pacing. This is psychopathic behavior. This is analogous to what the entity is doing by helicopter pacing. This is analogous to what the people of the state are doing when they are as a group under a fake sun that doesn't move from, for example, over the Ovid Family Community Library. The people of the state they're pacing. They're demons. They're mentally ill. And their mental illness is no longer closeted when you are witnessing the ways in which they're gang stalking in that specific environment. And they're the demon-possessed engaging in that. Engaging in long-term presence in the path, 82378S3. Now they're monitoring as I'm taking picture after picture. You're looking at the engineer light. You're looking at the fake sun, where this demon's just been sitting, stalking the entire time, maintaining presence, okay? As I've been over in this parking lot, nobody's walked into that vehicle. Nobody snuck in and closed the door. That demon's just been engaging in a stakeout, okay? Maintaining presence in the environment because the entity is never abandoning position. They are engaging in what is presence, and the ongoing criminal surveillance proof is the fake sun that's in Las Vegas, Nevada at this time of year on this day at the same time, but also remaining over the Ontario Town Square, where the entity is hovering. I'm taking images, one plane after another, while the entity is keeping the fake sun. And you're mindful of what's going on in Las Vegas, Nevada, where I want to be clear, the gang stalker that's in position over the Nevada State Police is associated with the gang stalker, the LAPD. There's no coincidences here. I'm showing you what is corruption. When you are looking at the gang stalking companies and you're looking at the names of those that are in positions of leadership, such as Alan D. Wapner over the transportation in San Bernardino County, affiliated with what is the gang stalker Omnitrans, the president of authority of the Ontario International Airport, gang stalker sitting on the Ontario City Council. This is a sex offender. This is a domestic terrorist, and you are becoming familiarized with the demons that are making a lot of money and are in positions of authority and influence where this corrupt system is underway. This is relevant with regard to what you're witnessing as I'm exposing it, and this is shared as I'm documenting the pattern of conduct throughout the states as I've gone to Nevada in August of 2024. I'm in Nevada, and the entity's keeping the fake sun over me at the Courtyard by Marriott off of Dean Martin Drive in Las Vegas, Nevada. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me in Las Vegas, Nevada, en route back to California on the freeway. So there's no sun that's ever going to be over the Ontario Town Square, where United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, UPS, using its commercial planes, is in the natural environment, which is relevant to malice, where they are engaging in state surveillance, and it's also obviously surveillance because the entity is maintaining what is flights with commercial airline planes that have nothing to do with heading to a destination after you took off from the airport. You're not landing at the airport while you're flying west over the Ontario Town Square. You're not taking off from the airport while you are taking off from the Terminals 2 and Terminal 4, and you're flying over 224 North Euclid Avenue. So there are miles that they're flying away from the airport, and you're necessarily hovering, and then you're also engaging what is clearly gang stalking while you know that you're being documented, but it's also highly unintelligent. This is speaking to knowledge, though, and they, again, are not intelligent whatsoever while they are monitoring evidence. And so the entity engages in, oh, well, we'll just rise in elevation here as though we're taking off, but you're not taking off miles away from the airport over the Ontario Town Square, and it's the same analysis with regard to the 280 North Lemon Apartments, with regard to the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, with regard to the Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard, with regard to Ovid Family Community, Ovid Family Community Library. As I go to the back parking lot, then they fly over the building of the Ovid Family Community Library, stalking, migrating as I move, and remaining in a position that is south of my person. It's the same analysis when they're flying over Woodside Senior Apartments at 408 West G Street, when they're flying over 325 West G Street, when I'm at the Tabor Professional Building, when I am at the Stater Brothers, and they're flying over the parking lot like they're taking off over the parking lot, and you are necessarily engaging in that unintelligent iteration, which nobody told them because the entity never intended to ever be prosecuted. And that's also relevant to the conspiracy to murder. And they have conspired the murder of the federal prosecutor, of the whistleblower. This is the entity that's engaging in gang stalking while having plane after plane after plane. Now, I want to be clear again. This is psychopathic behavior while demons are not going anywhere. This is pacing while they are monitoring me by having government planes flying repeatedly over this sky space, which is what I'm documenting on video at what is 5:51 a.m. and that video ends at 6:11 a.m. You will see the demons gang stalking in these government planes. Again, on video at 6:14 a.m. The entity in that video, there's more than one while they are taking off and taking off by hovering over in relevant positions, stalking in the sky space. I'm capturing again on video at 6:53 a.m. This is the entity that is again gang stalking, hovering at 6:43 a.m. Doing so again in the engineered environment, again at 6:47 a.m. 4 minutes later. Doing so again at what is 6:49 a.m. 2 minutes later. Doing so again while I am documenting that pattern of conduct, and the entity is monitoring. Doing so again at 6:51 a.m. This is what the entity does with commercial planes. This is what I documented at 531 North Euclid Avenue, where you're not taking off, you're not rising in elevation as though you're taking off from the airport because everyone is slow, everyone is intellectually inept like the demons that are gang stalking in planes, and that you're never going to know where the terminals are located at the Ontario International Airport, where you are abruptly taking off immediately from the grounds of the airport and rising, engaging in a sharp incline in elevation, and you are taking off right there at the airport. There is no form when you are rising in elevation over the Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue. You're stalking. You are stalking, you fly miles away from the airport, then you're hovering down, getting closer to the ground, and then you're rising up again when you're anticipating documentation. Is that what the demons are supposed to be engaging in? It's the evidence of stalking and monitoring evidence, and it's also evidence of gang stalking under all circumstances under the fake sun. Because the ordinary target individual, you don't have to go through all that analysis with regard to what is the P.O.C. of the entity that is engaging in the shared conduct together. Accessing 9KQY474 and the ongoing pacing, which is again occurring at 6:55 a.m. We've got 5 to 2.5 minute increments with regard to pacing in the sky space. This is the entity that's stalking in the path with light activity, doing so coming from Metro 102 apartments, exhibiting malice while gang stalking you and outwardly conducting themselves like they're doing something else. This is all engineer light. The entity is also keeping the fake sun at this venue, as I've documented the Metro 102 apartments in the middle of the afternoon and in the evening. Remember the evidence of the entity gang stalking at the B&G Plaza. This is the fake sun, and the entity is maintaining all manner of surveillance. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct. This is surveillance on communication devices. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and this is the entity that is surrounding, okay? That's the pattern of conduct. This is what the Ontario police are relying on to call while they are gang stalking you together. These are the sex offenders that are monitoring the vagina as well. All right, this is the Ontario Town Square, Metro 102, Ovid Family Community Library, Ontario City Hall, where the entity's keeping the fix and into the evening. And this is where they're pacing. 2 and 3 minutes, maintaining aerial surveillance. Gang stalkers are surrounding this demon. They're not going anywhere. Another demon comes back and maintains audible activity, light activity, and relevant positioning. And this represents a communication device where they are sharing and gang stalking together. This is P.O.C. license 9KQY474 and gang stalking by residents at Metro 102 apartments. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:57 a.m. This is the people that state gang stalking. It's also the people that state when you're using gang stalking airlines, commercial airlines that are stalking in the sky space in concert with the people of the state. Okay, that's P.O.C. It is currently 6:57 a.m. under the fake sun. All right, capturing another video, the entity sharing in the pattern of conduct. So the demons come out of Metro 102, starting a vehicle, that's lights, audible activity at the same time. That's the demonic synchronicity under the fake sun that's still here while the demons drive away and other demons replace. They're not going anywhere. They don't abandon position. The entity is doing so while the fake sun remains 10 hours later. And that's how you know that they're also gang stalking, okay? The entity is engaging in that, and that's the people of the state engaging in what is a donut. That's UPS. So let me go ahead and capture video so you can see that. This is the entity that's engaging in, and why is UPS doing a donut over here as opposed to doing it over the Ontario Town Square like they were yesterday morning? Because I have migrated away from the Ontario Town Square, and the entity maintains a position south of my person where the entity is gang stalking in the specific environment, and this is what is presence, amplified audible activity, and this is what they're doing, flying south over the Economy Inn. They are making a U-turn. They're not going to fly all the way down Euclid Avenue and fly south over Economy Inn. They're also not perpetually hovering throughout the entirety of the city. They're engaging what is flying miles away from the Ontario International Airport to engage in hovering over Metro 102, where I'm located, where engineered light is covering and that amplified audible activity coexists, and the people of the state are gang stalking by residents, and the city of Ontario, UPS, is representing the people of the state who are gang stalking, and they are demon possessed while you're gang stalking under what is a fake sun. This is Paul Leon's removal from office. I'm at the B Street. This is Ontario Town Square right here behind the 280 North Limit Apartments. I'm facing the stalking headquarters of Paul Leon. It's a state facilitating venue. It's a crime scene as he has made it. Gang stalking mayors are being removed from office, and that's how I have the fake sun over me at 10 o'clock in the morning as I'm documenting, I believe it's June 27, 2025 at 10 o'clock in the morning, and this fake sun is essentially in the same exact location. It's a different color. It's a brighter yellow. It's over the top of my head as I'm standing right in front of the Ontario Town Square, the Ontario City Hall, where UPS is gang stalking in the sky space. There's nothing that has anything to do with taking off while you're hovering over Metro 102, engaging in what is making a U-turn to fly back toward the direction east. And they were doing it over the Ontario Town Square when I was at the Ontario Town Square yesterday morning. They're doing so while they're listening to me narrate their criminal conduct. Those are the demon possessed that show you how they are engaging in satanic behaviors of targeting. And Securitas is gang stalking. License plate. That's light activity, audible activity, 7PKE850, and that's another iteration of the people of the state gang stalking. They're also doing so while they use business practices that are relevant to the federal RICO case where gang stalking is underway. And in Las Vegas, Nevada, the entity is keeping the fake sun as I document on video while I have driven out of the state of California, but yet the entity is keeping the fake sun over me. That's P.O.C. This is the entity that is indeed admittedly engaging in gang stalking, which again, that's great. I've already shown them and proven that Southwest Airlines and every airlines that is, again, under the corrupt leadership of Alan D. WAPNER, the demon that's going to be removed from office for the gang stalking underway by the Ontario International Airport. You're paying attention to what is clear targeting, hovering over the apartment complex, making an immediate turn. This is what they're doing over the grocery outlet at 12:51 p.m., where the Ontario police are gang stalking me while I go to the grocery store, and the entity flies south over the hotel, where the fake sun's not over that hotel while I am looking at that hotel on video, but while I'm at that hotel at the same time, the fake sun is over the hotel where the entity is also gang stalking in the same manner, but planes south over the hotel building, where I'm documenting on 7:15 in the morning at that same hotel. This is the entity that's already surrounded with evidence. So to engage in hovering, not coming from any sort of takeoff from the airport, flying miles away to hover over the roof, where you are then engaging what is a U-turn. Those are the demons that are listening to me expose them, report them, and then they engage in the criminal activity pursuant to the mental illness of the demon possessed that are engaged in gang stalking. That's the psychopathic behavior of the entity that incriminates itself. Oh, well, you're already telling about the criminal conduct, so we're going to go ahead and do it in real time. That's what the entity is doing, and it's the same criminal conduct when the government is using smaller government planes. Equally criminal activity creation, equally impossible light activity, equally supernatural with regard to the malice of the entity that's gang stalking altogether, while they're keeping a fake sun where Paul Leon is gang stalking. Okay, it is currently 7:01 a.m. This is P.O.C. Pay attention to the frequency. Less than 60 seconds later. That's no takeoff from the airport. That's United Airlines. Focus on where I'm located. And the focal point, you already know it because when I'm at the Ontario Town Square, United Airlines is flying over the Ontario Town Square. All right, because I'm not at the Ontario Town Square, they never fly north of my person. That's United Airlines stalking. United Airlines is flying, you'll look at the video, and the entity is at 7:10 in the morning, stalking by flying over the Ontario Town Square because the entity maintains presence on this side of my person in Ontario. So because I'm at the Ontario Town Square yesterday, United Airlines is gang stalking by flying over in that same manner, hovering, flying miles away from the airport, not engaging in what is a destination where you're taking off from 2500 Airport Drive, because they are taking off from Terminal 2 based on what's published regarding United Airlines, and there's no Terminal 2 where you're hovering over the Ontario Town Square. And the reason why they're not flying over Ontario Town Square is because the demons that are gang stalking with commercial planes, they don't fly north of my person, they stay on the south side of my person, no matter where I'm located in the city of Ontario. This is P.O.C, that's then U.S. And I want to be clear, the people of the state are pacing. Don't be distracted. You're looking at how the system is operating. These are demons who are pacing, and UPS, United Airlines, are pacing as well. License plate. License 9LOZ424, license 6RDZ853, engineer light dragging behind her vehicle. Stalking, that's a demon, and that's also a demon driving a commercial vehicle, while UPS, United Airlines, Southwest Airlines are pacing in the sky space, hovering over the same property, Metro 102, where I'm documenting the government gang stalking under the fake sun and an engineer light, and the entity is flying over Metro 102, where I'm located over here because I'm not at the town square. Because this is what they were doing over the town square, while my positioning is more north. And the entity that is stalking by planes maintains presence south of my person. That's what you'll pay attention to, the pattern of L&D WAPNER stalking with commercial planes. He's being removed from office, and he is a gang stalker that's associated with the state facilitating venue where the fake sun is present in the morning, in the evening, and in the middle of the afternoon. This fake sun, which is also not at the same time going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada, where the Ontario International Airport is exposed as a domestic terrorist and posing a threat to the national security, while they are acting with impunity, because that's what the airlines are showing you right now, that they're third parties, that they commit murder. They engage in flying planes into buildings, murdering American citizens in the same way that they're openly gang stalking right now, while they are keeping the evidence under surveillance. This is the evidence that's going toward a federal RICO case, that's going toward the removal of the airport, removal of the gang stalking officials. It's not evidence that's going to help them. They're not engaging in any actual retaliation. The demons are listening to me document, and they engage in, with the absence of any self-control, the psychopaths that are gang stalking that are going to federal prison. The ones flying these planes, the ones sitting in positions of authority, this is the conspiracy to murder, while United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, UPS are gang stalking. They are doing so in furtherance of the objective of murder, and that's relevant to the federal RICO case against each airline. Southwest Airlines is, I believe, headquartered in Texas. United Airlines is headquartered in Chicago, Illinois. UPS is, I believe, headquartered in, I don't recall offhand where the headquarters, but I'm going to be publishing, because you're going to prosecute civilly and criminally the entity that's gang stalking. This is the people that stand on the roads and the highways, 8RDX043, and they're intentionally present under the fake sun and an engineer light. License 9GPR041, and everybody inside of the apartment building is gang stalking. They're all engaged in monitoring on communication devices. License 8TCN631, license 8XYX307, and these are the demons that engage in criminal summoning with the gang stalking police. You already know what the city of Ontario is doing, gang stalking. Vehicle 1624445, that's the removal of Paul Leon. The municipality is engaged in criminal summoning in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. Paul Leon's being removed from office, and he's a demon. The fake sun is over the Ontario City Hall, where it's present until the end of the day. That's what I'm documenting when it's remaining over the overtime. He's being removed from office. This is P.O.C, and that's a surveillance hovering over, flying miles away from the airport, and doing so. It's not a coincidence while I document it, and then the demons do what they're doing all the time, and you're paying attention to what they're doing, which is stalking. If I'm at the Ontario Town Square, then they're flying over the Ontario Town Square as though you're flying miles away and hovering in a United Airlines plane, flying overhead. I do it at De Oro. That's the storefront on Euclid Avenue. The reason why they're engaging in flight right here is because I'm at this location, which you know, because the fake sun is here. And the fake sun is still here after 6 p.m. That's the P.O.C. where Delta Airlines is flying over the 280 North Limit Apartments. Every airline is gang stalking. That's why Paul Leon and L&D WAPNER are being removed. This is gang stalking that's committed in furtherance of committing murder committed by the government. That's gang stalking together with the people of the state. That's P9 I can't really see that license plate. They scratched it off. That's the entity that's anticipating documentation, however, but I just want to be clear, this is Metro 102, the 280 North Limit Apartments, the Ontario Town Square, where Securitas is gang stalking. That third party is relevant. That's federal prison. He's gang stalking while they're having a field day. Don't forget about who's engaged in criminal summoning, gang stalking, and it's Securitas. Okay, license plate 1638891. That's what Corey Watson is engaging in. While the entity is, again, exercising what is knowledge about evidence, it is not prudent under any circumstances in any federal case to obviously engage in gang stalking. Federal judges are going to be putting people in federal prison, and they're engaging in it willy-nilly on video, and you're going to replay this evidence because it's relevant to criminal summoning that Securitas committed with the Ontario police, who also don't have any legitimacy, who are on this street at 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, gang stalking under the same fake sun, which is on the opposite side of the same building, where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking, and the Ontario Metro 102 apartments are surrounded with evidence of targeting me under a fake sun as well beyond 2025. Recall, the entity is keeping the fake sun again in Las Vegas, Nevada, where the state of Nevada is engaged in the pattern of conduct, which is showing you what's happening throughout the country, where the ignoramuses who are gang stalking do so under a fake sun that does not leave this venue. The Ovid Family Community Library, after 6 p.m., the fake sun is still here. That's the removal of the gang stalking mayor, Paul Leon, the gang stalker president of the Airport Authority, Alan D. Wapner, whose criminal conduct are happening while you're being targeted through terrorists that are flying commercial planes and making money. That's the federal RICO case, and the criminal conduct that's relevant to federal stalking and the conspiracy to murder that targeted individual who has a body of evidence of gang stalking using commercial planes and helicopters, where that police department is also gang stalking. That's the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:08 a.m. This is the entity that's gang stalking with Securitas. That demon's going to federal prison. All right? And this is the impunity with which the entity is targeting. All right, coming out of your apartment to come start your car while the entity is simultaneously flying over, that's the entity that's obsessively monitoring. That's not takeoff from the airport. Amplified audible activity, light activity, United Airlines, P.O.C. All right, it is currently, again, under the fake sun. It is currently 7:08 a.m. The entity is gang stalking with the commercial planes over flying south over 2301 South Euclid Avenue, where the entity has the fake sun in alignment with what I'm saying in the parking lot of Economy Inn, where the entity is never deviating from keeping that fake sun over the roof, while I'm documenting the people of the state that are engaging in what is gang stalking at a hotel, just like you're looking at gang stalking in an apartment complex, gang stalking at a fire station, which is what Michael GERKEN is engaging in a relevant position off of B Street right here. He's gang stalking, which is represented by the people of the state that are gang stalking on the roads and the highways, which is what I'm documenting here, while the entity is gang stalking by the placement of the Ontario City Hall. The entity is maintaining what is relevant positioning, while the civilization, the so-called civilization, I put that in air quotes, is engaging in state surveillance. All right, this is breaking down all those illusions, and United Airlines is an established domestic terrorist, and they are going to be prosecuted like every other third party. This is P.O.C. The entity is engaging in what is kidnapping in the same manner as you're seeing them targeting. This is what they're doing when I'm documenting gang stalking by Alan D. Wapner, the Ontario International Airport, and they're sharing and kidnapping with the Ontario Police Department. It is necessitating what is removal of that airport. They're not engaged in legitimate practices. These are terrorists that are engaging in what is terrorizing American citizens. While I'm not on the plane, they're terrorizing American citizens by crashing the plane and murdering them while they are flying them. As I'm showing you the evidence of gang stalking in California through corrupt businesses. You pay them money, you get on their planes, and these are psychopaths that are engaging in stalking in plain view with this level of impunity as well. I would move with caution, okay? This is not only a warning, this is documentation to prosecute. And there's no mystery here. It is a surefire, straightforward prosecution. The entity is engaging in this while I'm documenting the government planes about 2 to 3 minutes, and then they're escalating to what they're always doing, stalking with commercial planes. They're engaging in what is hovering throughout the whole city for you to be over the Stater Brothers parking lot, Ontario Village, at that same elevation, that same level. They're flying throughout the entirety of the city of Ontario while they are at the same time maintaining as though you're taking off from the airport. No, you're not. That's P.O.C. That's FedEx. All right, FedEx is heavily documented, just like UPS gang stalking. This is P.O.C. What you're paying attention to is the frequency. You're paying attention to now they're focusing on what is Metro 102. And what is the focal point? It's where I'm located, which is where the fake sun is located. That's why they're paying attention to focusing on Metro 102 flying over. That's patrolling on both sides of my person. The government targeting with planes, the government targeting with the dumpster, and this is that's audible activity and light activity. And this is the entity that's merely hovering over where I'm located to make a U-turn. That's pacing. Pacing in the sky space. And this is the entity that is stalking with the people of the state, the entire property. You're going to prosecute the people of the state. I'm showing you how I am showing you how the entity is targeting from place to place. There's no sunrise at Economy Inn, contrary to what I documented on video, where UPS is gang stalking, flying south over that motel, where this is not over or going to be seen in the parking lot of Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue on video at 7:15 a.m. And this is the government that's gang stalking, and they are threatening the lives of American citizens while they crash planes into buildings and then blame other countries for acts of terrorism in the United States. I'll hold hearings, expensive hearings where people are being paid and they're not addressing the fact that they are targeting American citizens, murdering them, while I'm showing you that they're also gang stalking them, targeting them with commercial planes. Those who you pay to engage in paying to get a ticket to fly to some other state, some other country perhaps. And they're engaged in targeting, and they're the same ones that commit murder. The same ones that are obviously engaged in gang stalking right now while I'm documenting them, and they're engaging in doing so without any hesitation, showing you the fact that they're engaged in targeting in California. They're doing so with the entity that commits murder while they're engaging in this same level of what is inhumane conduct that is also relevant to demonic. Okay, P.O.C. license 8UOR 477. This is the entity that's gang stalking. It's currently 7:12 p.m. This is P.O.C. at the Metro 102 apartments. Alrighty, I am capturing substantial video. That's what you're listening to. So I'm going to be uploading that, but I want to show the frequency, the location of the plane activity. The demons are very much focused on whatever it is that I'm stating. These are the demons that are stalkers, and they're mentally ill. Their obsession is based on, and they're triggered by whatever it is that I say. So as I document, you'll watch them and you'll listen to me. You'll witness me narrate them, doing the same thing over and over. This is how you have the 11 planes over 531 North Euclid Avenue at 2 o'clock in the morning. I want to be clear, they're hovering over the Metro 102. They're flying at a higher elevation because the Chevron isn't as tall as the Metro 102 that has multiple layers. It's like a 3-story building. The entity is hovering over the Chevron at 2 o'clock in the morning as though they're taking off in the middle of the Euclid Avenue over the 531 North Euclid Avenue venue where I'm located at 2 in the morning. And as I begin documenting that, then they engage in it just like the government is in these smaller planes about every 1.5 to 3 minutes, then 4 minutes, and then again another 2 minutes. And then as I'm documenting, that's exactly what the people of the state are doing. Again, while the demons who are triggered, that lack self-control, I'm showing you the proof of their mental illness while they engage in obvious criminal monitoring. You're targeting while you're flying over Metro 102. You're targeting while you're under the fake sun, where I have evidence showing that the fake sun doesn't go anywhere hours later. And you are also aware of that United Airlines is engaged in criminal monitoring. That so is Southwest Airlines, UPS, Frontier, and every other airlines with the Ontario International Airport. And that's the relevant to what I'm documenting, the frequency of the flight, not only the location where there's no plane takeoff over there. Remember, they're flying at an even farther location over 325 West G Street, as though they're taking off over the people of the state's home off of G Street and Vine. All right, this is what the entity is doing while they're documenting. That is United Airlines. Let me go ahead and get another picture of that. Doing so while they are engaging that P.O.C. So you'll see the picture of that at 7:14 a.m. The entity is keeping the fake sun over Economy Inn. And that's relevant to UPS gang stalking on video, as I documented at Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue under the fake sun at that venue where the entity is monitoring on video. That's relevant to the conspiracy to murder. That's how you're going to prosecute every business that's engaging in the pattern of conduct while profiting and gang stalking at the same time. And that's what every business is doing, including United Airlines, okay, who's maintaining heavy flight activity over Metro 102 apartments, where I also have already surrounded the city, the state, because remember, Oakland, California, San Francisco, California, Sacramento, California, there's only one sun. And I'm showing that the fake sun in all of the state and all of the country is remaining over me, where I'm showing you a defendant that is targeting, and that is United Airlines, that's maintaining a frequency of flights. And you're going to recall this documentation when they're going to be prosecuted. But this is exposing and using against the entity its own mental illness. Okay, that's what I'm doing. I'm showing you how the demons are triggered by what it is that I speak. And what I'm speaking about is their criminal conduct. And the demon possessed who are psychopathic engage in more of that criminal conduct, which I'm going to prosecute for, as opposed to what the entity is typically doing to the ordinary targeted individual, terrorizing them and scaring them, and they're fear-stricken. And the demon-possessed are gratified by that. They're sexually aroused by it. They are intrigued by it. They are it brings pleasure to them to engage in psychological torture and targeting an American citizen. And I mean the population. The people whose license plate I'm documenting, these are demons, and they share that mental illness. The psychopathic system, the demonic system of the sex offense of federal group stalking, monitoring, gang stalking. Those are demons that are flying commercial planes for which you're able to prosecute a business for criminal monitoring. And it's evidence that's surrounding the entire, it's not just Ontario, the entire state is going to be prosecuted by what little old United Airlines is engaging in. United Airlines has deep pockets. United Airlines is acting in furtherance of conspiracy to murder. That's relevant to the racketeering. Also federal stalking under Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2. And United Airlines is surrounded with evidence that for which there's no legal defense. I've shown you the malice with which United Airlines and the knowledge. It's also a federal offense to engage in not only criminal stalking and furtherance of murder, and also criminal defamation, because that's what's behind stalking somebody in commercial planes where it's supposed to appear, and it doesn't even appear like that. You are imagining it, making it up, hallucinating. Also doing so with the entity that is engaging in more of that criminal offense, that's obstruction. That's relevant to racketeering as well. Okay, while you are being documented, that's relevant to the government. And United Airlines is merely one company. That's the people of the state. Every single business is gang stalking. The entire entity is sharing in a pattern of conduct. This is an elaborate and intricate federal RICO case and a criminal prosecution of the government. 82311T3, while the government flies over in a smaller government plane. Same amplification, same criminal pattern of conduct. Okay, this is P.O.C. That's the simultaneity of crossing path around me. This is what they're doing under a fake sun that's still at the same venue after 6 p.m. This is what the open terrorism that FedEx Airlines, UPS Airlines, Southwest Airlines, United Airlines are engaging in on video, and I'm going to prosecute the entire state of California with it. 9UID012, LIZJELI, 04350J3, 8BSL405, 9HRN358, 6WSU881. And I just want to be clear what the entity is doing, what United Airlines is doing, what the Ontario Fire Department is doing, what the Ontario Police Department is doing, what the Ontario International Airport is doing with regard to Alan D. Wapner. The officials are being prosecuted while the city is engaging in the pattern of conduct. The people of the state and the government employees, the public officials are being documented for prosecution for removal from office. Now, while they're engaging in that, don't forget that Securitas is gang stalking the entire time at the Ontario Town Square, and he committed what is criminal summoning, making sure that he's present early enough to engage in what is an iteration of the pattern of conduct, threatening my life and safety and well-being and my liberty, because the Ontario Police engages in a pattern of kidnapping upon the exact same circumstances. Never mind that they did not actually commit it. It is an unlawful act while you are engaging in that and under all circumstances, because that's the threat to the life of American citizen, which you're going to federal prison for. That Securitas employee, he's going to federal prison. Understand that. This is P.O.C. The entity is engaging in what is surveillance. Okay, this is the entity that's sounding a horn, stalking in the path. You'll see the fake sun, and this is where the entity is stalking with commercial planes and smaller government planes. Those images are taken at 7:18 a.m. The entity is keeping the fake sun. I am literally at Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue. That video is several minutes long. I'm still capturing video where the entity is keeping the fake sun, where license 82311T3 is targeting me with United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, UPS, FedEx, while they are maintaining the specific environment right here. And Paul Leon is being removed from office. He's across the parking lot gang stalking. I captured substantial videos of the entity gang stalking with commercial planes. This is relevant to the racketeering. This is relevant to the public corruption, the gang stalking mayor and the gang stalkers that are Mike LORENZ, Michael GERKEN, Alan D. Wapner, Paul Leon are sharing in, while the city of Ontario is gang stalking, and corrupt companies like Securitas are engaging in what is terrorism while targeting me and doing so under the guise of, oh, the security guard called the police. No, the security guard's a gang stalker. That's what I just documented right now. This is all evidence proving what is criminal summoning, and that's federal prison. While Corey Watson, badge number 80548, is gang stalking me pursuant to criminal summoning, and Securitas is driving around on a little bucket, gang stalking while the Ontario Police sounds what are sirens, okay? This is the entity she's been monitoring the whole time. You'll see her on images right now. She was planted on the side of the Ontario Town Square, and the entity is engaging in that P.O.C. And these are the demons that are blurping their sirens, stalking in the path, not helping the people of the state, especially when they're engaged in criminal summoning. All right, I'm taking images of what is stalking in the past. Securitas is gang stalking again right now under the fake sun, where the Ontario Police Department is documented at 6 in the evening. That's Officer Goldfinger, I believe his name is. He's gang stalking, and I'm documenting the entity gang stalking. The entity is surrounded with evidence where the Ontario International Airport just provided a tutorial as to how Alan D. Wapner and why Alan D. Wapner is being removed while he is conspiring my murder, already having committed attempted murder as an entity, gang stalking me while commercial planes are the iteration of state surveillance. And they are demons who are severely mentally ill, who are systematically murdering American citizens, terrorizing them in ways in which they're not even aware, while your family members and those who are subject to it are being referred to as a tragic loss of life in an accident, in a plane crash that is presumed to be an accident, and they're not accidents. United Airlines is showing how they commit murder while they are targeting American citizens, and they're engaging in pursuant to a pattern of conduct. Okay, to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring using the corrupt business practices of an airline is the entity that is also conspiring the death of American citizens when you are paying to take a flight somewhere and you do not make it there safely. It's not accidents. These are the demon-possessed who are committing what are murders. They're acts of terrorism. They're just not addressed as such when it is reported to you through the propaganda of what the people of the state telling you what is happening, talking about an investigation. Who's investigating? The government itself that's engaging in the P.O.C. Demons like Alan D. WAPNER in position over the president of the airport authority that are not truthful with regard to their criminal engagement and targeting throughout the state. Okay, and that's relevant when you're listening to me document substantial evidence right now, which I didn't even need, but this is speaking to what is no reasonable question whatsoever regarding targeting, proven through the environment. The entity's keeping the fakes in Las Vegas, Nevada. I drove to Nevada. I'm driving out of Nevada in the afternoon. The entity's keeping the fakes in outside of the state of Nevada over my vehicle as I drive through the state of California. But at the same time, as I'm documenting from day to day, August 5th, today's August 6th, the entity's keeping the fakes in over the Ovid Family Community Library, and it's relevant to the same time of year. So that means last week when I was at the Economy Inn, and I'm showing you the screenshot of the fake sun over my room at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's still over my room while I'm at the west end of the building at 5 and 6 o'clock in the evening. There's no sun that's going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada. At all. This is the entity that's gang stalking through corrupt airlines who are listening to me document, and then they provided that obvious, that is relevant to what is impunity. Yes, they do murder American citizens, and they'll charge you to get on that plane to lose your life. It is an active conspiracy to murder where they are engaged in gang stalking. Yes, you're looking at what is the culpability, the ability to, the propensity for conspiring against the lives of American citizens that they intend to take. The demon-possessed that are gang stalking, yes, they are again sacrificing themselves when they are in those plane crashes. These are demons. And you are merely recognizing and being exposed to what are demons who are associated with business names making money. And that's to get you focused on the carnal, on the physical. These are demons that are just using a commercial brand. And they're engaging in sacrificing American citizens. When you're talking about civilization, you're talking about the United States, you're talking about conspiracy, violence against a large amount of people, you're talking about an act of terrorism. And they have the audacity to charge you money while they're threatening and conspiring against the lives of American citizens. That's what these airlines are engaging in. And I want to be clear, you are looking at the news where these same airlines are in crashes, and they are not mistakes and accidents. The entity is engaged in surveillance. They know where the planes are. They know where these are not accidents. These are not acts that are happening out of what is ignorance. And we just didn't know. We didn't have all the parts of that is the entity that is operating under this illusion. I've shattered all of that illusion for you. United Airlines is gang stalking me where the fake sun is still here 10 hours later. United Airlines engaged in that, which I documented, and that's going to be used to prosecute them and the entire rest of the state of California pursuant to a pattern of conduct. Pursuant to their real-time knowledge of the fact that I am enforcing my rights for United Airlines not to target me, not to psychologically target me, not to sexually violate me, not to threaten my life and well-being, and literally threaten me because I'm enforcing my rights by documenting it, and not speak to and demonstrate the fact that they are delusional with regard to thinking that you are above the law and that it is not the clear pattern of conduct that I've shown. The pattern of conduct is egregious and exceptionally criminal, and United Airlines is on the wrong side of history, just like Starbucks. That's what's relevant when you're seeing them hovering over Metro 1 and 2 apartments, that fake sun. Remember everything where I'm at, look at a map because it's all steps away from each other. This is a plaza, the Ontario Town Square, the parking garage where I'm inside. You see the engineer light all across the ceiling inside of that parking garage. That means the downtown Ontario apartments, those are demons who are stalking. They go into that garage, charging their Teslas, gang stalking, keeping me under surveillance. This is what the people of the state are doing while they are together engaging in a system of surveillance that you're not ignorant about anymore. anymore. That includes surveillance that uses commercial planes under the guise of maintaining flights from airports going toward destinations. United Airlines is clearly not engaging in that in the specific environment. And even were they engaging in what is you have to be engaging in what is taking off from the airport, hovering miles away from the airport, and then rising in elevation over Metro 102, even if they have occupants, which again, the people of the state are gang stalking. So even if they have actual passengers on the plane, United Airlines is being prosecuted, period. Because it's not about whether they're, and you don't have to litigate that, whether they're actually in a plane going toward taking off. They're not. You're taking off from the airport. It does not include hovering over Metro 102. It doesn't include hovering over 280 North Limit Apartments, over the Stater Brothers in Ontario, over the 280 North Limit Apartments, over the Ovid Family Community Library while I'm in the parking lot, over the 506 North Euclid Avenue, over what is the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, over 408 West G Street. Taking off from the airport does not include any of that. You're taking off in that sky space right there. And then you are necessarily hovering, whether they have passengers on the plane or not. That you're not litigating that. I'm showing you they are clearly targeting where they're flying miles away from the airport. And then while I documented that common sense fact, you watched United Airlines communicate a national security threat is what is communicated to you while they're targeting me. Do not miss this. You're watching me expose it to you. You're watching me prosecute it. This is a warning to you. These are demons who commit murder. And then the murderers hold hearings for you to watch on television. And nobody's addressing what they're doing, targeting. And yes, the demons that are targeting me, flying commercial planes, they're the same ones that will kill themselves. Yes, that's exactly what I'm stating. They will kill themselves while they kill other people. That's what demons do. They're gang stalking me in California. Understand that they're engaged in acts of terrorism throughout this country. And it is what is supporting removal of the Ontario International Airport. All those planes, the frequency with which they're flying over, these are demons that are committed to stalking. And you're paying attention to all of the ways in which they are stalking. And they did so while they're monitoring, meaning United Airlines did it while they're listening to me state every word that I state, as I stated. And then they engaged in that unlawful threat. That's a threat to the national security. That's a threat to you who are listening, in other words. And that fake sun is still going to be here 10 hours later, where you know beyond a reasonable doubt that United Airlines is engaged in domestic terrorism. And they are therefore engaging and capable of murdering American citizens. While they are making money, that's the federal RICO aspect. That's P.O.C. That's the entity that lacks self-control. That's the entity that doesn't have any strategy. That's the entity that is foolishly targeting the federal prosecutor, the whistleblower, which there are laws to prosecute for that. And that's also relevant to the federal RICO case against United Airlines. The entity is already surrounded with evidence, and this is the entity that engaged in criminal summoning with Securitas, gang stalking me with the Ontario police, and they know exactly who I am. They know what's going on with my vagina. They know where I'm pulling my panties down in the bathroom, and they're engaging in what is the delusional, psychopathic conduct of calling the police. Oh, I'm only here because they called me, and we need you to do this, and if you don't, then we're going to arrest you. That's kidnapping. They're gang stalking, and they're psychopaths that are stalking with commercial planes and helicopters as a whole operation of the city. That's the iteration of the P.O.C. regarding criminal summoning. All right, that gang stalking security officer, he's not officer, that security guard is engaged in pacing under the fake sun at the Ontario Town Square. His workplace is where the fake sun is remaining at the end of the day. That's federal prison while he's engaging in what is an act of terrorism and harassment with Corey Watson, by the way, a kidnapper. A psychopath that engages in what is gang stalking while making jokes where there's nothing funny about a federal prosecution. License 21528D4, that's Brightview, gang stalking. The leaf blower in the background is audible activity. They're under the fake sun that's at this same location after 6 p.m. I'm capturing that in images. This is the entity that's gang stalking, calling at police training at C Street and Euclid Avenue. Don't forget what I'm documenting on July 14, 2025. This is where Brightview, the corporate headquarters, that's relevant to the federal RICO. That's with City of Ontario, that's using the leaf blower. The demons that are gang stalking through the parking garage, that's the downtown apartments with what is engineer light that's in the shade while you're looking at a demon crossing path. Let me give you the sex offender's license plate. License plate. EF58F46, that's a paper plate on a black Tesla. They're gang stalking. These demons are unintelligent, and they're doing so through the extraordinarily expensive means of what is commercial airline planes, and doing so through the entirely corrupt and also expensive means. Gassing up the police vehicles, as I'm documenting them, Ontario police stalking all night long, and doing so, as you know, that they're gassing up their helicopters, stalking me all day and all night long. License plate 9CUE769, driving on the same C street where they are present on video at 6:22 in the evening, where I'm at in between the Wells Fargo and the same Ontario downtown apartments. This is where the entity is keeping the fake sun, 7:30 a.m. This is not Economy Inn. It's not going to be seen in the parking lot of Economy Inn. It's not going to be any location that's shared and viewed in that parking lot. It's not going to be the same sky space. It's not going to be the same. It's not the same latitude and longitude. The sun is not perpetually present over all of us throughout this country, everywhere, all day long, like what these demons in Ontario are doing at the Ovid Family Community Library. The entity is engaged in the pattern of conduct, and the fake sun is in the same position it is when I am standing at the same street at what is 6 o'clock in the evening, where 9SEU319 is gang stalking with the city of Ontario that uses planes and helicopters while they're surrounding in the perimeter with flashing lights. License 9KIG048, that's what the city of Ontario, that's GPC, graffiti, patrol. This is, gang stalking, stalking in the path with light activity at 303 North Euclid Avenue. That's, again, the gang stalking businesses that are engaged in the pattern of conduct. I'm documenting the corporate headquarters with regard to prosecuting the corrupt businesses that are engaged in federal stalking. This is the racketeering. This is the federal RICO case against the people of the state that are helping the government conspire to murder, because that's the purpose of gang stalking. 7THW314 at Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue, gang stalking. All right, going to the ATM under the fake sun is the guise for what is stalking in the path, while demons are surrounding, stalking in commercial planes over you, and helicopters around you, and police vehicles on the roads and the highways around you, and demons like those third parties of GPC stalking with light activity, going to the ATM in relevant position while you're monitoring the American citizen. That's relevant to that pattern of conduct. Okay, this Latino male hops out of the vehicle as I'm crossing the street. All he's doing is sitting in the vehicle, maintaining light activity. The license plate of GPC, Graffiti Protection Coatings is the name of that company. I've already documented them before. Gang stalking for a prolonged period amount of time, for years. I've documented them. Go ahead. 7YPZ526, 4XRZ288, gang stalking. They're driving an engineer light. You'll see that. I'm capturing that in images. And GPC, Graffiti Protective Coatings, license plate DZ13M04. So this demon walks out, and let me show you United Airlines, that's gang stalking. Say cheese, P.O.C. Monitoring with minor children. And let me show you the fake sun that moves as I move. And the entity, what you'll see is the entity flying over. United Airlines is flying over now the Ontario Town Square, while Graffiti Protective Coatings is engaging in light activity creation under that fake sun, okay? Remember July 14, 2025, where the Ontario police are calling it police training while they're stalking in the path. All right, the fake sun is in the same position that it is now. It's over the Ontario downtown square, the Ontario downtown apartments. As I migrate, so does the fake sun, and so does the stalking behavior of the Ontario International Airport. I was gonna say Ontario Police because it is the Ontario Police, but right now, the City of Ontario is acting via commercial planes, where I'm showing you the demon-possessed are stalking, engaging in surveillance using commercial planes in the City of Ontario under the fake sun, which is speaking to the stalking behaviors of demons that are flying in the City of Ontario, hovering, flying miles away from the airport, not taking off pursuant to what is published on the website, contrary, in other words, to what they're representing, and I'm showing you what they're actually engaged in. And it's demonic, and it's also criminal, and it's malicious and unintelligent. And United Airlines is going to be captured in the images that you'll see now flying over Ontario Town Square, over the storefront, as opposed to what they're doing when they're flying over me at the Metro 102 apartments, which is closer to what is the venues near HOLT Boulevard, as opposed to now where I'm at C Street, migrating as I migrate, which is proven through the fake sun. Okay, graffiti, protective coatings is sharing in that pattern of conduct. Getting out and wiping down a window is relevant positioning. Okay, they're engaged in federal stalking with the people of the state, doing so in engineer light. So let me show you engineer light. I'm going to stand in it because this is where graffiti protective coatings is stalking in the path. All right, and they're doing this with the police as well. They're doing that as immigrants in this country. They're doing that with the entity that is monitoring evidence, and he is literally engaged in federal stalking while that company is engaged in. That's a federal RICO case against the company, and that's a federal case against the people of the state that are operating these commercial vehicles. And they're acting, like I stated, with demons that are engaging in massive surveillance using commercial planes in the City of Ontario. And as I've shown you throughout California and in Nevada, gang stalking under a fake sun using helicopters. That's what I'm capturing Metropolitan Las Vegas Police Department doing under the fake sun. Okay, this is what I'm capturing Nevada State Police doing under the fake sun. While these demons drive by, the fake sun doesn't move over them like it does over me. They're all engaged in surveillance. These are demons who are stalking. Okay, United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, FedEx Airlines, UPS Airlines, they're engaged in gang stalking and they're doing so in the specific environment. And these are the same airlines that are murdering American citizens as you aboard their planes, and they're not engaged in accidents. They're engaged in sacrificing American citizens in the same way that they are sacrificing American citizens whom they are keeping under surveillance, whom they're gang stalking. This is P.O.C. This is relevant to the federal RICO case. All these demons on C Street in Euclid are engaging in what is the pattern of conduct. The fake sun is in the same position it is that I'm documenting at 6 in the evening, where the Ontario police are documented and gang stalking police officers are going to federal prison, just like Corey Watson, okay? He's going to federal prison. Graffiti, protective coatings is maintaining light activity around the parameter, okay, which is what I'm documenting, and that's relevant to the patterns that you'll recognize as I pointed out to you under a fake sun that's present at the same address 10 hours later. I'm pointing out to you the demon-possessed are mentally ill, and they're always stalking in the path with the method of flashing light. It's appearing on the surface as some sort of cautionary measure. Oh, because they have construction. Oh, because no, they're doing police training, so we need you to be cautious over here. Oh, no, it's because we're engaging in what is stopping on the side of the road because we're doing graffiti cleanings. We're cleaning up the buildings. They're all doing it under the fake sun. They're doing it while the entity is maintaining what is signage on the roads and the highways, while they're monitoring under the fake sun. And that is speaking to removal of gang stalking mayors. Do you understand how much of the expenditures are based on, because they're actually getting paid. They're actually maintaining what is a way of public corruption, while the entity is maintaining contracts with people that come up and dig up the sidewalks, dig up the street to engage in what is the forum for activity creation, based on whoever it is that they're keeping under surveillance, whatever it is that they're seeking to maliciously target, surveil, and facilitate that amongst these demons that are on the roads and the highways, including 8DTB418, stalking with impossible light activity. There's millions of dollars that's wasted, in other words, and these gang stalking mayors are responsible for it. And this is the entity that is not incapable of housing things that are legitimate, such as actual homelessness. That's a problem. I want to be clear. It's a product of targeting. That's what homelessness is called. And by the way, my evidence shows that. But even outside, I am college educated. I went to law school. I am a practicing attorney. The entity is gang stalking me. The entity does this to people with far less education. The entity does this to people with far less skill set with regard to articulating and proving what the entity is doing and the ways in which they're doing it, what they know while they commit it, and their intentions behind what they're doing. The illusion, in other words, that they present while they want to appear one way, while they're engaging in something totally different. The ordinary target individual is not engaging in that, not typically capable to combine all of that at one time, enforcing their rights. Now, what I am speaking to is that because of the surveillance system, because of the targeting that the government is engaging in, you need to understand that homelessness is a result of targeting. Okay, the surveillance of the entity is literally, I went to college, I went to law school, I checked all the boxes, and you know what the entity did? Regardless of that, what I am due to pursuant to the quote-unquote American dream, the entity is picking and choosing who is going to quote-unquote succeed with that so-called American dream. Even after doing all the things that you're supposed to do. It is not about what you are acquiring with regard to your education. It's not about making all the right decisions and making sure that you're not making any sort of errors. The entity engages in criminal summoning to mess up your perfect criminal record in 1 second, and you don't even know that you've been targeted. Okay, you don't even know that you're the product of targeting. This is surveillance underway, and the entity homelessness is a product of targeting. Surveillance is underway. Demons that have far less skill sets than me, far less experience, far less expertise, not even qualified whatsoever, are in positions that they're unfit to be in, like Alan D. WAPNER, by the way. Paul Leon, Mike LORENZ, Michael GERKEN. These are corrupt actors who are engaging in facilitation. That's why United Airlines is able to engage in hovering over the homes of the people of the state in Ontario, California, hovering over the businesses. And this is why the Ontario police are able to engage in flying in circles over their homes and businesses for a prolonged period. This is why the fake sun, this phenomenon, is not mentioned by any of them that are engaging in this surveillance system together. This is why the entity engages in more of that threatening conduct, that psychopathic behavior as an entity together. This is why the entity is hostile while they're working at Starbucks, but I'm documenting the demon that's getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, Alan D. WAPNER, who is not going to give them $1, but they are interested in the same outcome that is targeting me. They're demons as well. They are the same condition. That's why a demon is hostile while they're filling up cups of coffee at Starbucks, getting paid barely $25 an hour. if that, while they're gang stalking, and I'm talking about their co-defendant, Alan D. WAPNER. That's where you're understanding that. That's what they have in common. Homelessness and poverty is a product of targeting, where the entity is engaging in surveillance. None of this is about, oh, I didn't make all I'm not stating that people don't make bad decisions. That's what I'm saying. You need to understand that this is designed to create what is a circumstance for the desired population, and to create a circumstance regardless of how qualified and how much you are due that result. I am that example. Okay, the entity targeted me after I went to law school, I did all the things, and the entity still engaged in what is blatant disregard, not hiring me. Guess who's not hiring? The people of the state. Guess who's harassing me on the workplace? The people of the state. Guess who's engaged in unlawful release from employment upon reporting harassment? The people of the state. And guess who's gang stalking me with the people of the state? The government, the state of California. And this is how you're getting to the P.O.C. The greater P.O.C. It's the government that's targeting you at work. It's the government that's impeding upon your liberty right to make as much money as you want based on what you're qualified for, based on what you supposedly have a constitutional right to pursue. It's the government that's interfering with that. It's the government that's targeting American citizens. And it's the government that's doing it with the people of the state, like United Airlines, who are fully engaged in state surveillance. And they're demons that do that targeting. They're demons that are picking and choosing, oh, we don't want this person, oh no, this person can't get to that place in life. We don't want this person in that position. They are a threat to this system. And that's what I represent, okay? A threat, not because of any wrongdoing, but because I will under no circumstances compromise. And as you also see, I will not mince words with what is evil, with what is criminal, with what is unethical, with also what is absolutely barbaric and criminal and also disgusting and perverted. I call it all out. Okay, and I'm very unequivocal and unambiguous with that. But this is what an entity is doing. They are full of compromises. Even those that are hesitantly engaging in that, they're no less a defendant in the case against the state of California. Let me show you. Sorry, hold on. Let me make sure I'm still recording because I just pressed a video on my phone. Excuse me, a button on my phone. Okay, yeah, I'm still recording. The entity, it is currently, by the way, 7:42 a.m. The fake sign is over the Ontario downtown apartments. So this is Euclid Avenue and C Street, in between D Street and C Street, okay? Remember, I'm walking from the Ontario, what is the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue? I am documenting that this is how I'm getting Alex Escobar gang stalking me under the 12:51 p.m. fake sun, where I'm at the U.S. Bank that I'm looking at right now. I'm at that U.S. Bank in the middle of the afternoon, and Alex Escobar is gang stalking with UPS, who you also know uses commercial planes to engage in stalking, monitoring, psychologically torturing, sexually violating, while they're gang stalking American citizens using the most expensive means possible, because that's supposed to rebut the ability or even interest, of companies that are very much invested in targeting American citizens that they're conspiring to murder because they're a threat to this system. Absolutely, UPS is engaged in it and invested in it. UPS is gang stalking with Alex Escobar and gang stalking with license 9MAS682, who's maintaining surveillance. Doing so while my shadow is appearing in the shade. He is stalking under the fake sun. He's gang stalking with the entity that's maintaining aerial surveillance, and you'll see him crossing path in his vehicle on the roads and highways at 7:43 a.m. The fake sun is over me on this same street, like I was stating, while I'm coming from Starbucks, where you already know that they're engaging in the P.O.C. Graffiti, protective coatings is in that specific environment as well, in that supernatural environment, and none of the people that say that are gang stalking, as I've shown you, are doing so ignorantly. They're doing so pursuant to a pattern of conduct, okay? This is what Alex Escobar is engaging. He's surrounded with his evidence, and Alex Escobar is going to federal prison. He committed kidnapping on July 4th, 2025, pursuant to surveillance, not pursuant to having Ocean at Starbucks call him and tell him that I didn't buy something. License 9JIK119, that's an Asian male. If he's an immigrant, that's deportation. Okay, and the Department of Homeland Security is engaging in justice while deporting immigrants that work for corrupt companies like Graffiti, protective coatings, gang stalking immigrants that are, for example, Economy Inn. The Department of Homeland Security is engaging in justice regardless of whether you know the totality of facts regarding why immigrants are justly being deported out of the state of California. And this is why. Okay, they are conspiring murder against American citizens whom they're gang stalking with the government as United Airlines. Okay, so helpfully exposed to you about themselves, because I'm going to prosecute with that evidence that I have. I'm going to prosecute them and the entire state of California. It's relevant to the entirety of the pattern of conduct. While United Airlines is under a fake sign, 8UQJ910. So you will see at this same route while I'm coming from Starbucks on the same street, walking in the opposite direction, but I'm capturing the supernatural 7:43 in the morning. Well, this is the same street where I'm walking at 12:51 in the afternoon where Alex Escobar is stalking. And so is UPS, stalking as a business. Under the guise of, oh, they're delivering something, they're en route somewhere, and that's why they have their flashes on under a fake sun. That's at the same address as I'm documenting at 12:51 in the afternoon, where I'm documenting the entity under a fake sun, the roads and the highways, 6FUL 581. 4LPX 758. These are demons that we're monitoring the whole time. And as I approach this intersection, then they get in traffic. They can sit in their car engaging in surveillance. They can get in line as though, oh no, I'm not stalking you. I'm waiting at the red light. They're stalking in the path. And the government cannot do it without the people of the state, moreover. And these are the people of the state who have the government flying in circles over their homes, and they're not complaining about it because they're gang stalking with the government. All right, this is the system. And like I stated, the impoverished society in California, homelessness is a product of targeting, and the entity is engaging in that while I am a part of that because of the targeting conduct that I've been subject to. And that's why it also happened to me, because you're understanding what is the circumstance, the context behind my background. Absolutely no explanation but federal group stalking and monitoring. But what is the malice of the entity? The entity wants to associate mental illness with why people of my expertise, of my background, are in the position. And it's purely economic because the entity is targeting. And LAPD proves that while gang stalking me in the workplace, where there would be no sign over economy and ever, over what is U.S. Bank ever, while the entity kept the fake sun over Alvarado Gardens, where I am subject to the P.O.C. by the demon-possessed population who are gang stalking on the roads and the highways. License 7EKC 844, 5SVF 128, 5DEH 692, and license 7DPT 439. All right, they're all crossing paths under the fake sun, honking their horns is audible activity, impossible light dragging behind their vehicles. This is federal stalking on the roads and the highways. And they're also engaged in the conspiracy to murder an American citizen. This is the federal RICO case against the state of California, the government. Okay, they're also making money while they are engaging in that pattern of conduct at establishments such as Gloria's Cochinas, which is right across the street. It's the same intersection. And Alex Escobar is somehow under the same fake sun that's present right now at 7 in the morning at 12:51 in the afternoon. And this is why you document, because corrupt governments tend to lie. Satan is a liar. And that entity that is corrupt, that wants to defame you as being mentally ill. And that's the explanation why a licensed attorney, why a college-educated American citizen can't seem to get on their feet, because they're subject to targeting and they don't even know it. They may complain about disparity, they may complain about unfair treatment, but they don't know that they are subject to a system of targeting pursuant to surveillance, an agenda to make sure that they do not get to a certain level in their life. This is what Tracy Banks is a part of, gang stalking her own daughter. This is a high school graduate that tried to come against me, where I am legally trained to prosecute her like a woman that I've never met a day in my life, because that's exactly how I'm going to prosecute her, like I never met her. License 39954C3, gang stalking with Tracy Banks. You need to understand that it's indistinguishable with regard to the pattern of conduct, the elements of monitoring, gang stalking with the government. 9LAM 139, 9AEB 873. 89541B2. Remember, the entity's keeping the fake sun while I'm inside of Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue on the same street, but yet United Airlines is flying over me inside of the parking lot at Metro 102 Apartments. This is how you're going to get the demons that don't have any self-control, that are following the federal prosecutor into a federal RICO case. That's how you get that. HHM1 6Y65086. License 9DMT817, because the demon-possessed are more obsessed with me than they are with getting out of what is a federal case in court. Okay, while they're engaged in what is targeting me, I am surrounding them with evidence to prosecute them with tangible evidence, proving mental illness on the part of the entity, proving malice on the part of the entity. That's the government that I'm referring to, and the government includes license plate 9PSF873, the people of the state. The Ontario Police Department that engaged in criminal summoning, because those demons that are obsessed with my vagina are gang stalking with the people of the state, who summon them when they're gang stalking together, where there's no private property. And there is no interference with documentation when you're gang stalking and further into murder and kidnapping. And that's why Ocean and Elena, Patty, the entity that's gang stalking, kidnapping on video at the Starbucks, that's why they're going to federal prison. All right, they're engaged in kidnapping with the intent to obstruct justice, and they are gang stalking. Pay attention to the Ontario Police, gang stalking under the fake sun. That's in Las Vegas, Nevada, when I am in another state, and they're gang stalking. License 1614296, vehicle 1040. That is captured at where on the roads and the highways where the people of the state are gang stalking the same, demons alike, where they're engaged in federal stalking, and the Ontario Police engaged in kidnapping pursuant to no legal authority under the Constitution, where they are demons alike. 7:50 a.m. and the entity is keeping the fake sun. I'm literally on video outside of Courtyard by Marriott at 7:49 a.m. and I'm showing you the city of Las Vegas that's gang stalking using helicopters while that fake sun is over me at Dean Martin, where I'm at that venue in a different state. The Ontario Police are not driving under the sun. The Ontario Police are gang stalking, as Alex Escobar's criminal conduct proves, at this same location at 12:51 in the afternoon. Not only is that not the sun that's at the same time in Las Vegas over everyone, everywhere, like the Ontario Police Department are doing while they're stalking me, it's also not remaining at the same address, the same location like Alex Escobar is in that environment where I'm documenting hours from now, where the sun is not some idle star that's remaining present over one building, which is requiring multiple suns over all of us throughout the entirety of the country, because I am not the center of the universe, contrary to the demon-possessed who are engaged in a highly unintelligent and not a well thought out system of targeting, where they're demons, gang stalking, and they murdered the targeted individuals, and that's why they were not prepared to be fully proven as a matter of science to be engaging in nothing other than gang stalking, nothing other than that. It is a scientific impossibility. It is anything other than that. License 9TZB130. License D217H0, 9KWJ032, 7FPZ034, 3219815. That's an Indiana plate. That's Schneider. That's a corrupt company. Schneider is gang stalking American citizens in the United States. 4NHV169, license plate 9D264V3, 8PDW701. And what you're paying attention to, what common sense, what you should also be paying attention to, is what are the people that stayed on the 60 freeway doing while I'm remaining at Economy Inn, while at the same time of year the entity has the sun over me. As I documented, I went there in order to prove to you what is not the natural environment where you're targeting in that environment. Pursuant to specific knowledge, this is surveillance, not by a bunch of strangers. They know who you are. You are subject to a system of targeting, and the entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct while the fake sun is remaining over me and a population is pacing, patrolling, not going anywhere. It's surveillance on the 60 freeway at Economy Inn. That's in alignment to my hotel room. What are they doing under a fake sun? I will wait because I've already given you the answer. You need to become aware of what Satan is doing. I'm going to prosecute for it based on this scientific fact. The scientific fact is that that's not the sun. I'm going to prosecute with that fact. And I'm also going to use it. License 17921H2. That's audible activity, relevant positioning, light activity while they're gang stalking on the roads and highways. That's federal stalking statute, Title 18, while the entity is engaging in surveillance in the physical path. This is gang stalking, and surveillance is also underway in violation of that same federal stalking statute on the venue of the internet and via communication devices, where equally the people of the state who are not strangers know what you're doing on your phone. They know what you're doing on the internet. They also know when you're documenting them, where they're engaging in what are documented acts of hostility and harassment pursuant to real-time knowledge, like United Airlines demonstrates, flying more and more over me, over my head, threatening me and monitoring me in furtherance of murdering me as an entity, having already committed attempted murder as an entity, engaging in monitoring evidence against itself, which is relevant to the federal RICO case. That's another federal law that they're violating while they're engaging in gang stalking, pursuant to real-time knowledge, because of surveillance that they're engaging in, which is proven through the specific environment, the environment that defies nature, the environment that does not coexist at the same time in Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that P.O.C. This is an entity that has not thought out this pattern of conduct. And you know why? Do you know why it's so imbecilic? Do you know why it's so asinine? Do you know why it's so clearly ignorant? Because they murder the targeted individual. They never speak of what they're targeted by, who is targeting them, and what they're doing to them. They're discarded by being falsely depicted as being mentally ill. And the target individual, not even aware of what they're targeting, not even aware of how an entity is attacking your mind, and you are even speaking curses over yourself when you don't know that you're being spiritually attacked and you don't suffer any mental illness. Okay, you can react after having been traumatized while you're subject to ongoing psychological torture by demons who want to drive you to a point of having a traumatic breakdown. But I want to be clear, that's distinct from what is mental illness. The entity is establishing that something is inherently wrong with you, and there's nothing wrong with you. That's not mental illness in the way in which the corrupt medical field, the gang stalking medical professionals are engaging in what are falsely depicting the character of American citizens whom they are targeting. And you're losing your license in medicine. As I've encountered that, documented that, pursuant to kidnapping and stealing my property, you're losing your medical license, just so that you know. You're losing your position in the medical field. But the entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct, and the entity is engaging in this pursuant to malice. Pursuant to malice. The entity is engaging in this pursuant to what is readily identifiable in the environment. It is a fact that the specific environment is not the natural environment. It is a fact that the natural environment will not consist of the sun being over me at 7:54 in the morning and then remaining present, as I already documented, at 12:51, where Alex Escobar, where companies like UPS, where establishments like U.S. Bank, at the intersection of D Street and Euclid, would still have the sun over me, over anyone. I am showing you how the targeted individual is experiencing the system of criminal surveillance in furtherance of trying to murder that person. And they're not strangers. Okay? Graffiti Protective Companies is acting in conformity to a pattern of conduct. United Airlines is acting in conformity to a pattern of conduct pursuant to real-time knowledge, and the audacity of United Airlines both making a buck and engaging in gang stalking an American citizen. That's going to be at the forefront of the minds of the federal courts and the federal judges who are going to provide justice. And it's also exposing the gang stalking police. You're looking at law enforcement while the people of the state are gang stalking, and it will not be a slap on the wrist. Corey Watson threatening my life with his demon-possessed partner this morning at the Ontario Town Square with this gang stalking Securitas. That's federal prison. This is the entity that's gang stalking all night long. They're surrounding me, aiming their headlights. They're monitoring while they're aiming the lights on me. These are sex offenders. These are weirdos engaged in ominous stalking conduct in the middle of the night because those demons are mad while they're both obsessed with my vagina, and they're also mad because I'm telling everybody that they're obsessed with my vagina while they are stalking as a whole department, wasting millions of dollars. The removal of the mayor, the removal of the chief of police, the removal of terrorists from law enforcement altogether. You're not just being removed. It's not a slap on the wrist. You are going to federal prison, and you are done with law enforcement. This is what justice requires. This is what justice requires. And that's what's going to happen. It will not be a slap on the wrist, and there is no due process rights with regard to targeting American citizens as corrupt police departments. There are due process rights. That administrative process does not apply when you're gang stalking. It will not apply. It is currently 7:57 a.m. Let me give you these demons' license plates. 9EPL072. Gang stalking. License plate. 7YTZ129. Don't forget Metropolitan Police in Las Vegas. Yes, and you can prosecute Metro 102 Apartments with regard to what Metropolitan Police in Las Vegas are doing. License 7BNH719, and they're doing it under the fake sun in this specific environment. The fake sun remains over me as I travel out of California to Nevada, and from Nevada back to California. And the entity engages in what is depriving the state of California with the sun while it remains over my vehicle, which I documented in order to be clear about what you're going to be prosecuted by. 6VRL894. And there's no slap on the wrist for gang stalking departments like the Ontario Police. 9JQY413. 9RXF362. These are demons that are exhibiting impunity. They're still stalking, and that's why gang stalking police officers. I want to be clear. What am I getting to? The more the impunity that you're witnessing. Understand everything that I have spoken to regarding the policies that are necessary to confront what is a system of mentally ill, murderous sex offenders. They are bloodthirsty. They murder where they are convinced they get away with it. As business practice, as families, as a community, as a corrupt government body, there shall be no slap on the wrist. These are not extreme consequences. This is the very least, and justice requires that and more. I want to be clear on that. While I'm documenting impunity, license 6WCG160, the police are stalking. Alex Escobar is still monitoring now. I documented you for you to get a sample of how he is terrorizing me and targeting me in furtherance of murdering me. Already kidnapping me on July 4, 2025. Just for funsies, okay? The entities engaging in that, understand, they're doing it to me while I'm exposing them. Understand what they've done to other people who are already dead. They're already 6 feet under. They're sitting around kidnapped right now, and the feds have not released them from that condition yet. You're going to prison while the people of the state are gang stalking, the police are stalking. You're going to federal prison. as a corrupt gang stalking police department. As one aspect of the pattern of conduct is underway, license 9PBD189, that psychopathic noise creation, that's the same city of Ontario. Ontario Police Alex Escobar is going to federal prison. As clearly as you witnessed that. Guess who's stalking in the path under the fake sun? I just documented them stalking as a department, crossing path on Euclid Avenue. The Ontario Police is gang stalking, including while they're in my face, threatening like they have a right to arrest. They don't. They're stalking. They're targeting. And they're very hostile toward me because I'm exposing it. And they're going to federal prison. That amplified noise is evidence of mental illness, not the legitimate practice of taking out the garbage, okay? So I'm going to show you what is emptying the garbage under the fake sun. The psychopaths that are engaging in the P.O.C, and this is the removal of Paul Leon from office. This is the entity that is, again, sex offenders monitoring my vagina, engaging in what is taking out the garbage so that they can get close to the wall on the opposite side of where my vagina is exposed. Sex offenders that are engaging in what is monitoring as a public sex act. This is the entity that is gang stalking together. License 9R MT124, I believe. You can scratch that. I can't really see that one. But I want a Chafee Joint Union High School. You already know that they're gang stalking. Those are demons. If you want sex offenders driving children around, keep the demons working for the Chafee Joint School Union. License 1634712. Chafee Joint Union High School School District. License 1710866. Demons stalking equally with impossible light activity, stalking with peculiarized light, stalking under the fake sun, stalking amongst amplification. If you're wondering why children are being raped, while they're being molested, while they're being violated by the people of the state, because that's what they are, that's why. You need to understand that they're demons. License 7D62081. License plate 42232D3. And this is at the intersection of Laurel and D Street, the U.S. Bank where Alex Escobar is gang stalking me on video at 12:51 p.m. I believe this is 333 North Euclid Avenue. That's the U.S. Bank. That's the intersection I'm at right now. The fake sun is over me where you're hearing that amplified crashing of dumpsters. Those are that's evidence of mental illness. The amplified audible activity is serving to diagnose and recognize psychopaths who are monitoring. The impossible light activity is evidence that is used to diagnose psychopaths who are monitoring. The fake sun is relevant evidence with regard to identifying psychopaths who are monitoring. License plate 7BUD973. And psychopaths are driving flying United Airlines planes, 9RBY000. They're flying Amazon Prime, FedEx, UPS, 8CPY698, Southwest Airlines planes. And they're not committing accidents and tragic loss of life that was unsuspected, unexpected. This is conspiracy to murder and gang stalking, as the airlines at the City of Ontario Airport are proven to engage in, and they are providing you evidence. That was evidence, what you witnessed, what you listened to me document. That is the entity that's engaging in the statement, making the statement to the rest of the world. Yes, we are targeting American citizens. Let me do it for you right now on Erica Spencer's camera. That's exactly what they're stating. And you need to understand that they, with that same level of impunity, murder people where they are convinced that nobody knows that it's a murder. The propaganda that's given to you on a hot plate on the news, where you are literally metabolizing everything that's told to you, and you are parroting it to other people, where they go, oh, there was an accident and they didn't see each other in the sky space, and then they flew into the helicopter in the middle of the sky space, and X amount of people were killed, and it's just such a tragic, unfortunate mishappening. That's murder committed by the entity. And these are the demons that are gang stalking. These are the demons that sacrifice themselves and other people. At the sound of what is Satan's signal, meaning when Satan tells them these are demons, and when they are getting, in other words, they have the desire to do it, they've been told by Satan to do. They do what Satan leads them to do. And that's where you will have these sorts of acts. And they are flying United Airlines, UPS, Southwest Airlines, FedEx Airlines, as you see them on video, as I'm narrating in real time, them gang stalking me at the Metro 102 apartments, or at the same time the sun is in Las Vegas, Nevada. License 7YJX757. This little nook in the sky space is where the fake sun is reigning over me, and this is the evidence of stalking by those who are not strangers. This is obsessive surveillance, making sure that no corner is abandoned while I'm being gang stalked everywhere that I go. And they're also the sex offenders that monitor and are obsessed with my vagina. 9PHA147. More than you know are engaged in homosexual practices. They just want you to associate homosexuality with those that dress up and conduct themselves in a certain manner and associate themselves with certain clubs and agendas. And that is not the truth. License plate 9LMT966, or you can scratch that. I can't see that whole license plate. That is not the truth. That's not the truth at all. Okay, the entities engaging in the pattern of conduct and homosexual conduct includes both males and females that are engaging in stalking the targeted individual in places like bathrooms, monitoring, lusting over their genitalia. While you get to gang stalk them, the government is approving this criminal conduct, so sex offenders are excited by the notion of being able to stand next to me in the bathroom stall, stalk with flushing the toilet, stalk with turning on the sink. They don't even wash their filthy demonic hands while using the air dryer, stalking in the path like they're waiting on the toilet, like that's the focal point. This is the superficial veneer behind monitoring my vagina. Knowledge of everything. They know what you're doing. Oh, not only do they place cameras, and that's the knowledge base, but they also are demons who know what you're doing. That's why in the presence of no person in that bathroom, amplified noise is piercing, and I'm putting that in air quotes, piercing through the walls, with simultaneity to my legs spreading apart, my legs closing, my pulling my panties down. And as I document and I test the entity that is monitoring, I pull my panties back up, I pull my panties back down, I pull my panties back up, I pull my panties back down. The demons are monitoring. They're sex offenders. License 7EXE851. And the homosexual conduct of the demon-possessed that are engaged in monitoring your genitalia in ways in which you are ignorant about. The homosexual community is not those that merely dress up with whatever you associate with what homosexuality looks like and behaves like. They sit in church every day, and they're married with the opposite sex. 7ZDW186. They conduct themselves as though they are Bible-believing Christians, will proclaim the name of Jesus while they serve Satan, their father. License plate 9AUK166. This is the entity that's a sex offender, and because of the Ontario Police Department being in that position, they're being disbanded. Sex offenders shall not be engaged in law enforcement. It is literally a disqualification at the gate. You're not getting in at all. So these are sex offenders that are already in the position that they are disqualified to be in. They are engaging in sexual violence as what they call a day of work as a law enforcement agency. They're engaged in surveillance. They're stalkers. They're psychopaths, and they're demons. And I just want to let you know the entities engaged in this level of obsession, it is not gender specific, it's not age specific. As I'm showing you, the entity is keeping the fake sun in Las Vegas, Nevada. So what is over me at the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue? It's not the natural environment. And that business is monitoring American citizens as I'm advocating, letting you know what's happening through all of the country. If you find it entertaining to watch me, first of all, that's a spirit and you need Christ Jesus. But second of all, if you find it entertaining, aside from the fact that you are in need of salvation, then you're not understanding what it is that's threatening American citizens in the country. 7NXJ888, impossible light dragging across the homes who are third-party facilitating venues, gang stalking where they work. Stalking, license 8PJV322, the same against a fake church. Church of Christ is a gang stalking facilitating venue where the fake sun is over me right now. And these demons are pacing in the specific environment, and the demons are gang stalking where they live while they are facilitating. You have engineer light moving across the home of what is 7BNB075. You have the entity sounding car alarms, the entity that's amplifying train activity, the entity that's stalking with impossible light activity. This is the rampant mental illness where you are associating mental illness with the ways in which you've been conditioned and expected to appear and behave. And that's because mentally ill people surround you. They're the demon possessed, and they are raging psychopaths. Okay, so this is, again, the illusions that you're surrounded by while they're engaging in criminal conduct that is inexplicable. You cannot rationalize it. You can't make sense of it. And by the way, NASA has never addressed it. There's a reason why nobody's ever addressed the fake sun. They don't know about that. They're sitting under it wherever their office is in the United States. They're sitting under it. The entities engaged in this P.O.C., and this is relevant to malice. This is the unintelligent system that is exposing what is criminal conduct by the government, that is doing so under the illusion of the Constitution being our guard, our distinction, how we're distinguished amongst the rest of the government regimes and throughout the world, and we're not. The only thing about the United States is that the United States is in the business of making a lot of money while treating human beings as though they are lesser than being treated with their God-given rights. And we supposedly put those statements, those ideals, those principles in writing, and that's what's supposed to make us different. By the way, it's not being white. It's not being racist. We are united with regard to shared principles and ideas that are reflected in a written document. And no matter, regardless of the hypocrisy, regardless of the corruption I'm exposing, that is what this country is built on. And it doesn't matter what your race is, because you could be from a foreign country and be more American than these bigoted demons in the United States. That makes you more American than them. It is not merely based on where you are born. There are laws that center on that, but the United States, we represent an idea. That's why we're supposed to be different. And I'm showing you that we're not. And I'm also going to prosecute based on that illusion, which is a violation of my constitutional and human rights. And it's a violation of yours while you're witnessing it. You're witnessing it, and if you think it's a joke, then you're not understanding the warning that you're being given. And you also need Christ Jesus, because there's nothing entertaining about this satanic system that the government is engaging in with a population of mentally ill people who are psychopathic, demon-possessed. License 8K78833, license plate 6NPM687. It is currently, by the way, it's 8:09 a.m. and the fake sun's over me at F Street and Laurel. You are going to recall, and the entity that is capable of, not the entity, I'm referring to those who you are watching me expose the demonic entity. You're watching me expose the corrupt public entity. Those of you that are aware of the body of evidence in the federal government, you are able to literally put into the Rolodex of information that I have provided to you. Look at all the places where the entity, not just this year, but also last year. You can go back years with regard to time of year, not just the exact same time and day, but time of year analysis, meaning there's a series of months, all that's happening during daylight savings time, the same time, multiple years back, all that's happening even with daylight savings time underway. Understand that daylight savings time is pursuant to the illusion. Daylight savings time doesn't matter when in daylight savings time and outside of daylight savings time, the fake sun's not moving. But I abide by those rules in order to make sure that my evidence remains scientifically relevant, because it is. It's scientifically relevant. And as I abide by that rule, that's an illusion, and then you can get past it, because daylight savings time doesn't apply. The entity is gang stalking. Okay, so the entity is engaging in that, and you are able to look at where else is the entity maintaining this fake sun, this specific environment, with regard to just taking a look and understanding how this is happening, because the federal government has probable cause to investigate, to prosecute, because the government, the states cannot be trusted. This is the system where they are conspiring murder. They are getting away with criminal conduct, and it's been on the news associated with just random criminals engaged in criminal activity that on the surface has nothing to do with the judges in the city, on the surface has nothing to do with the sheriff's department, that they're the ones that are going to be investigating it. They're the ones that are going to conduct the autopsy. And on the surface, it appears to have nothing to do with that. This is an entity that's engaging in this organized crime. It's organized with regard to their demonic activity. It's not organized with regard to their process of thought, with regard to the absence of logic, with regard to the clear contradiction of science and nature. It is obvious, and the federal government has probable cause, because the states cannot be trusted. They're murdering people systematically. And they're incentivizing it with the people of the state, these demons, these cockroaches, these little rats that are gang stalking. License plate 9MRH819 and license EF43887. Yeah, that's a paper plate. Los Angeles Fire is associated with that Latina female driving that with that paper plate. And the entity that's gang stalking me, the entity is literally choosing the defendants that are crossing paths with me. So the entity is they can put whatever they want, because the entity is being prosecuted regardless. And that's also not going to be anonymous conduct. You're going to be subject to additional federal charges any way in which you are seeking to obstruct justice. And that includes these gang stalking puppets who refuse to give me their name and badge number. This is not an ordinary stop and encounter. You're going to be prosecuted for that. That's the federal government that's asking you for your information, and you are going, if you don't provide it, remember, the entity, you are empowered with that, because the government is monitoring you. 7WCY176, and let me show you the fake sun that's over me at 534, at what is 534 Palm Avenue right now. Because that's where I'm located, and you'll see the fake sun, gang stalking at the intersection, moving as I move. This is what CECURITAS is engaging in, gang stalking me and engaging in criminal summoning while doing so. Psychopaths engaging. Let me hurry up and get to work early so that I'll call the police. And this is how we're going to have Corey Watson arrive and wake Erica Spencer up. And these demons did so because they knew that I had my alarm while they're monitoring my communication device, that I was getting up at 6:15 a.m. before CECURITAS is present, because they're not securing those grounds all night long. They're not there all night long. And when the entity is monitoring, the entity will be wherever it needs to be, by the way, in order to engage in that iteration of criminal summoning. I don't care if that demon was off of work and then arrived in uniform. I don't care if that demon did work all night long last night. Understand that it's criminal summoning. All the demons are doing is sitting back listening to me. Oh, she said that we don't do this, so we're going to make sure we're going to do that. Oh, she said that they don't do this typically, but we do that. And so that's the evidence that it's not gang stalking, and that's not the case at all. The fake sun is never going to be disregarded, regardless of the specific facts regarding how Securitas is engaged in criminal summoning. It's criminal summoning, period. Federal prison. You go to federal prison for that. American citizens are kidnapped, they're harassed, they're physically harmed, they're murdered by criminal summoning. You summon the police to your house, you end up dead. You don't even know that they're engaged in monitoring. Those are demons that don't have self-control. They don't have self-control. They're trigger happy. Trigger happy. Okay, it is currently, again, 8:14 a.m. This is the P.O.C. The entity is following with the fake sun. That's how I'm able to capture it at 534 Good Avenue. None of this is going to be over the roof of the Economy Inn. As I'm documenting, none of this is occurring in Las Vegas, Nevada, in a natural environment at the same time of year. And a Rolodex of evidence is speaking to your ability to not just go back to 2024, but years back, as you would always survey and study the natural environment and where the demon-possessed are engaging in an obvious system of surveillance. That's underway throughout the country. And while they violate federal policies, there are strong rules. As you violate, you are getting the consequence. No excuses. License plate, monitoring with Southwest Airlines. License plate, that's a white female, a Latina female, CZ38R85. That's a paper plate on a white truck. And doing so at 412 F Street, FS and Frank, license 8ZUM171, gang stalking at third-party facilitating venue 412 F Street at what is 8:16 a.m. And remember, as I stop recording right now, my voice is audible activity. And so that's why Southwest Airlines is, again, as I travel, there's no rise in elevation over the Ontario Town Square. Oh no, now they're taking off south of my person, while the fake sun's remaining in alignment to me, not over Economy Inn, now remaining over the Ontario Town Square, moving as I move, which is what stalking is, moving as I move, and they're doing that with commercial planes. Paul Leon and Alan D. Wapner are sex offenders conspiring my murder, while Southwest Airlines is gang stalking me, and Southwest Airlines is also engaged in that unlawful conspiracy to murder the one whom they are gang stalking as a corrupt business. And so are the people of the state. License 8MCN247 is engaged in that criminal conspiracy to murder. They're doing so at 243 F Street in Ontario, California. The license plate of the demons that are crossing paths on the street in impossible light activity. License 8HMD895 is engaged in that criminal conspiracy to murder as well. This is an entity that is engaging in what is stalking you to the extent of following into bathrooms, keeping you under surveillance in bathrooms until they are able to extinguish you altogether. That's relevant to gang stalking with commercial planes. It's currently 8:17 a.m. This is P.O.C. License 9TFH790, 8GYP834, 7NYF576, 7FDF243. The people that say gang stalking by residents, you will see the fake sun remaining over me as I cross path with their facilitating venues. They're not homes, they're not private properties. They're facilitating venues where the government's maintaining the unconstitutional conduct of what is surveillance, which the entity is consenting to the government, but that's not pursuant to what the government has told everybody else that it's engaging in, while anybody's consenting to surveillance in their home. But it's not just surveillance of them in their home, it's surveillance of everybody else while they consent to, literally by gang stalking, you've consented to it, but nobody else is consenting to it. It's entirely unlawful conduct by the government. All right, and this is again relevant to what the entity is doing through the immigrant population as well. This is why Department of Homeland Security's deportation of the immigrant population in California is absolutely justified, regardless of how you may debate how they're executing it. Okay, that's up to that administration, but that is a totally supported policy. While I'm showing you the pattern of conduct underway by the entity that is engaging in targeting where they live, which is no prosecution, no shelter for the state. And this is where Southwest Airlines is gang stalking. They're monitoring. They already know that I'm coming while Southwest Airlines is gang stalking me on F Street as I'm walking up the street. And this is also how you know 7-Eleven already knows that I'm a root. These are psychopaths that are already present, gang stalking inside of the store. License DE42TO4, that's a paper plate of a black GMC. Using paper plates again while the entity is gang stalking. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm documenting the fake sun at the 7-Eleven. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. It's still here. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, same time of year. These are demons that are gang stalking. Also, while they're going and making purchases, federal RICO case, and these are psychopaths who are conspiring to murder someone. That conspiracy is exposed. Their stalking is exposed. Their mental illness is exposed. Their obsession with me is exposed, and their gang stalking. So that's relevant to the mental illness that is clearly shown through the pattern of conduct of criminal monitoring. 5TGB 942. 8GLF 325, 9BCV 968, 7GXZ 439, 7GIJ 018, and that's a demon associated with the corrupt institution U.S.C, by the way. That's P.O.C. All right, the entity sounding the door, that's a demon that's in position stalking with audible noise as I operate my phone. The entity having impossible light activity then streaming across the same wall where you see my magnified shadow at a distance in front of me. That's a terrorizing environment, and you're going to prosecute the deep pockets of 7-Eleven for that. You're also going to prosecute the psychopaths, and many of them are immigrants in this country, not even speaking the English language while engaging in domestic terrorism of an American citizen who they know is also enforcing the rights. The audacity of these gang stalking immigrants is why they're going to be subject to deportation and federal prison while they're engaging in any acts of obstruction of justice with gang stalking police officers like I documented 7-Eleven engaging in. It's currently 8:24 a.m. This is P.O.C. That's audible activity in the engineer light that you already saw inside of the store. They're demons. It's P.O.C. And this is the entity that's gang stalking. The Ontario police are monitoring. The Ontario International Airport, do you need to get by? Am I in your way? Okay, that's called crossing a path in engineer light. They're stalking. All right, and they're all on surveillance cameras inside. You're going to use the business to prosecute the business. When you're getting past the illusion, then you're going to prosecute them by what they're actually engaging in, and the malice is relevant to that illusion. That's going to prosecution for malice, the malice with which they're conspiring to murder an American citizen through the corrupt business of whatever establishment is engaging in entertaining the P.O.C. It's 8:24 a.m. This is a psychopathic behavior, crossing a path, making sure that I'm surrounded with noise and light, and the small store that is 7-Eleven. This is happening in the grocery store. This is happening when I'm at the hotels. This is happening when I'm on the roads and the highways, where there, by the way, are not genuine car accidents. The entity commits what is murder, just like they do with commercial planes. Okay? The entity is engaging in this under the fake sun. This is the elements of monitoring. The fake sun's over the 7-Eleven. It is P.O.C. It's 8:25 a.m. You're going to prosecute for that. All right, monitoring with the employees, 8JPX, 820. Those are the third parties that are crossing path inside of the store. While impossible light, this is terrorism that they're engaging in together, while impossible light activity surrounds you, and you're supposed to be questioning your own sanity, while a bunch of strangers do the same thing over and over and over to you, as though they don't know you, as though they're not targeting you. They're looking to the left and the right like it's not happening. That's the entity that's engaging in psychological torture, which is the purpose of gang stalking amongst the population and a government. 9SVX, 269, they're gang stalking with the employees walking out and walking in through the back doors while they walk by me the same time the demons are entering in. That's how you have the door chime while you're crossing path in the engineer light, etc., etc. P.O.C. Mental illness, mental illness, mental illness. P.O.C. Alrighty.
Can you take a picture of my car right now, ma'am?
What are you talking about?
I'm just asking a question.
You came all the way back in the store to ask me what?
Can you take a picture?
Of what? Am I taking a picture of you right now?
No, when we're out there. You stood right here and went like this.
Yeah, and I'm doing that right now. Are you taking pictures?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But I don't
That's
know
good.
why, though.
I don't understand what you're talking about and why you would assume that I'm taking pictures of you. Do I know you?
My children.
Where are your children? Where are your children?
Just want to make sure that you're not, though.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of you taking a picture of me. Now I'm taking a picture. Okay, bye. That's it. Is that your vehicle out there? That's, again, the psychopath that's monitoring. That's the entity that knows that they're being documented and doing so with children, which he's admitting. That's P.O.C. Yeah, license 8JPX 820. That's the entity that summons the police while they're monitoring evidence. This is what the minor children inside of the Ovid Family Community Library engaged in, by the way, while they're monitoring with children, like she's admittedly doing. And a psychopath that is hostile because you're capturing them. That's a demon that's making what is conducting itself as a paranoid schizophrenic. You're paying real close attention to me when I'm holding up my phone, and I could be on FaceTime taking a picture of myself, looking at the time, looking at anything on my screen. She's assuming I'm taking a picture of her. while she's gang stalking under the fake sun in the engineered light. This is what the entity is doing while they are monitoring the evidence. That's the entity that's stalking in bathrooms. That's the entity that's engaged in criminal summoning. That's the entity that's suffering and projecting mental illness onto the targeted individual. She went out of her way to engage in that iteration of harassment. That's federal prison, and it's also federal prison because she's gang stalking with minor children. Okay, so let me go ahead and get that license plate again. I want you to hear that audible activity as I ask questions about, wow, why would you assume that I'm documenting you? And it is fully within your rights to document the entity that's targeting, by the way. The entity is you're going to document the entity that's targeting you in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. But the entity is engaging in that while they are making assumption. Remember, the targeted individual is supposed to be the one that's going around making assumptions. Are you following me? Are you stalking me? And you've never seen them before? I'm supposed to be the one doing that. And the entity that's gang stalking is the one that's making these unsubstantiated assumptions based on mere possession of a communication device, which all of them are engaging in together. And they are the ones making unfounded assumptions. And they are hostile while doing so, going out of their way when they're necessarily focused on you to make that assumption about, are you taking pictures of me specifically, as opposed to looking at Google Maps, trying to figure out where I'm going next, looking at my shopping list, which I maintain on my phone, taking a selfie, which I'm obsessed with as I post it on social media, talking on FaceTime to my mom that I talk to everywhere that I go, just looking at my phone screen to remind myself of what time it is. No, I am specifically looking at her and taking pictures of her in her car. Those are the demons that are gang stalking. All right, and they are threatening your life. In doing so, they're threatening your safety. The entity immediately jumps to, I'm going to call the police. This is how the entity engages in kidnapping. That's federal prison. Understanding the policies. All right, the entity is going to be prosecuted for everything that they're stating, and they're gang stalking with the employees. Understand how they are passive aggressive, and they're engaging in what perhaps the employees don't have a quote unquote. They're supposedly in a position where they can say what the employees can't say based on what it is that's happening. I'll be right back. I'm gonna still bind that. But this is the entity that's targeting together. All right, that's the entity that is exhibiting mental illness also. That it would be paranoid schizophrenia under the facts, where you don't have any evidence of me targeting you. I'm taking pictures of you just on the facts of all you have is that I'm holding up my phone in your direction. What I have is the evidence of a fake sun, the evidence of engineered light that I literally captured on video. I have the evidence of the pattern of conduct by the same population inside of this exact same establishment, by the way, in conformity to a well-documented P.O.C. when the entity is engaging in these unfounded allegations where they're exhibiting actual mental illness. This is what the entity projects onto the targeted individual. And this is also because they are engaged in surveillance and they are hostile. These demons are very much angry because they thought that they were capable, they thought that they were intelligent, and they thought that they were impenetrable. This is an above suspicion while you have a whole population targeting one little old person that doesn't stand a chance. And so while they are being exposed, I want to be clear, these are demons that are actually exceedingly angry and hostile. They're unhinged while they try to compose themselves in the same way that mental illness is existing in plain sight. While you're smiling in my face and the Ontario police engage in flying over me while I'm in your vehicle, that's an entity that's engaging what is seething while composing themselves. They're not hiding their mental illness anymore, and it's also not hiding the malice with which they're engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're proven as what are impotent, intellectually impotent and inferior while their demon possession and their criminal activity exposed, and then they make those unsubstantiated statements, which is going to be used to diagnose them. Okay, she's exhibiting paranoia, and she's also exhibiting psychopathic and antisocial disorder as well, while she's gang stalking with her children, who she is acting with the intent to obstruct justice and also contributing to their delinquency. You go to federal prison for gang stalking with kids, in case you didn't know that. That's a policy. And she is a whole psychopath and a sex offender while she's monitoring with children. She just doesn't want to be associated with it, and because she's hostile to being associated with what she is doing, she's engaging in what is more criminal conduct, as I documented that encounter right there. That's an unlawful threat by the government. That's the police that's speaking. That's the government that's speaking. Remember, this is an entity. And they're going to be prosecuted accordingly. These are demons that are pacing inside of 7-Eleven. And it is currently 8:32 a.m. This is P.O.C. That's a harassment upon gang stalking. All right, monitoring 34355M3. 61092E2. This is a large male that's inside of the venue. He comes in to maintain a phone conversation, which is a means of activity creation in the engineered light. And this third-party license 34355M3 is surrounding monitoring together. This is the entities monitoring together, targeting together with the elements. I just want to get, that's federal stalking under Title 18 while I'm inside of the store. Oh, sorry. Anyway, it's currently 8:37 a.m. P.O.C. license.
Cool. Okay, brother. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you. Let me see. I also want to get license 032491, and I think I got this license plate already. Let me see. This third party his tactic is just to walk through maintaining a conversation on the phone. This is surveillance inside of the store using communication devices. It's as easy as a conversation that's audible noise, movement around in the engineer light, and the device itself is relevant to surveillance. They design these phones and these devices these days for pursuant to surveillance that's underway. Also, it's 8:38 a.m. I got ice in here, so he said he's going to charge me 50 cents for that. Okay? And this, and the apple juice, please. And can I buy, how much for the banana?
It is $1. Get one, buy one free.
Okay. You know I can buy this with the card, right?
Huh? Okay, this is EBT?
Yeah.
This is EBT.
You said it's not?
No EBT, no food EBT. One time. Yeah.
It is. Your other employee does it, but that's fine if you don't pull it up that way. That's fine.
So 7:13.
Oh, let me put in my phone number, please. Oops. All right. You charge me 50 cents for the ice?
No charge.
Oh, okay. Don't make it so charge me for the banana. Did it go through? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the screen. If it's not. Oh, thank you. Can I get a receipt, please? I need a. Is it possible to get a bag? I need a bag. Please. Thank you. I hope you have an excellent day. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Alrighty. It is currently, let's see, stalking in the store. They're all under the fake sun, making sure they're by me by the door, keeping the door alarm going, getting a newspaper by the door, lining up at the register. This is engineer light that's in the side of the store, and the clerk, again, she's hostile because she knows they're being documented. The entity's engaging in that P.O.C, and it's not based on, it's based on the pattern of conduct, not because they should. If you're not monitoring, then you're not paying attention, because I'm not doing anything that's extraordinary. The entity is targeting, and while the entity engages in documented acts of harassment, like the demons that lose control, like United Airlines doing with commercial plane, like the entity that does so with the Ontario Police, that's the entity that is engaged in gang stalking. And she was referring to her children. So let me read you the license plate of the entity that's gang stalking with the Ontario Police that's flying in circles while the entity is inside. License plate, that's Ontario Police. You already know that they're stalking. DF41J71, molesting across my thighs and my genital area with impossible light activity. That's also sexual violence. The entity sounds helicopter activity at, oh, sorry, wrong phone. The entity sounds helicopter activity at 8:41 a.m. I'm walking out right now. That's the Ontario Police that you saw stalking at 10 o'clock in the morning at 215 E.C. Street, the same 215 E.C. Street where the fake sun is present. First of all, big picture, 6:22 p.m., where I'm documenting the fake sun as I walk out, and they're engaged in monitoring me in the bathroom, just like they're monitoring inside a 7-Eleven. Remember details. The same fake sun where Ontario Police are stalking by helicopter at 215 E.C. Street under the fake sun. It's still there at that same library where Simba is gang stalking, as I'm showing you, at 1:30 in the afternoon, and Ontario Police is stalking in helicopter under the fake sun. This is speaking to what are gang stalkers who know that they're being documented and are hostile because they're proven to be demons who are engaged in surveillance, 032491, and they're engaging in criminal conduct which they don't like being associated with, even though that's exactly what they're doing. Okay, that's the entity that's gang stalking with helicopter. It's currently, by the way, 8:42 a.m., where the Ontario Police are flying over Woodside Senior Apartments, just like they are doing, but they're concentrating on me at Woodside Senior Apartments. And the reason why the fake sun is over me at Tracy Banks' apartment is because they're concentrating helicopter activity around me at Woodside Senior Apartments, where the fake sun is sitting over Tracy Banks' unit number 51, not over 711 at 636 North Vine Avenue, where I'm documenting a psychopath who is monitoring with the police in concert with her children while she's engaging in what is a documented act of harassment. That is exactly why you're going to federal prison for that. Understand what Securitas is doing today. That's criminal summoning at the Ontario Town Square, where you are documenting the pattern of conduct and the entity is stalking in the ceaseless manner, and then they go on to the next iteration. After the next iteration, of the same pattern of conduct. Securitas is a gang stalker engaging in what is summoning while you're gang stalking with the Ontario Police, who are committing kidnappings throughout the city of Ontario. That's what Alex Escobar is doing under the fake sun at 12:51 p.m. at the U.S. Bank, where I have both the evidence today at 7:40 in the morning, while I'm also in Las Vegas, Nevada, and he's under the fake sun at 12:51 p.m. at that same U.S. Bank. He's going to federal prison. Listen to the helicopter activity. It's 8:44 a.m. All right, Alex Escobar and L. Edwards, A. Quesada. You have what is Corey Watson, badge number 80548. You have what is also the entity that is gang stalking and kidnapping. That is including L. Martinez, B. Hook, C. Torres, and Nathan Morgan. They're going to federal prison for engaging in kidnapping pursuant to the pattern of conduct and not engaging in any lawful execution of any duties having anything to do with law enforcement. The Ontario Police Department and what is Michael LORENZ are engaging in gang stalking me in furtherance of murder. And that's what they're doing while I'm showing you the pattern of conduct that the department is engaged in. And it includes a pattern of kidnapping with the intent to obstruct justice. And that's why they are under the fake sun at 636 North Vine Avenue, the same location where Jason Knighton and Lester Keys committed kidnapping as a department with the people of the state that are gang stalking at 7-Eleven pursuant to what is the pattern of conduct. Jason Knighton and Lester Keys are going to federal prison for what they committed 5 years ago. Because this is how long it takes to get justice when it's the government that's the defendant. And they're going to federal prison and they're going for longer than 5 years. Okay, so it's justice and they're going for longer than 5 years. The entity is stalking by helicopter pursuant to the pattern of conduct by that department. Okay, the entity is engaging in kidnapping with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department and with the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. And they are demons, as I've shown you, the fake sun over all of their state facilitating venues. That includes the Ontario Police Department. That includes the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department at West Valley Detention Center at 9500 Etowanda Avenue in Rancho Cucamonga, and what is the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, where the entity is engaging in what is kidnapping pursuant to the pattern of conduct. They are, in other words, not ignorantly prosecuting me based on what is the sole engagement in targeting by the Ontario Police. They are acting in conformity to a pattern of conduct that is statewide, and that is speaking to kidnapping committed by the court, the corrupt court, kidnapping committed by the sheriff, the corrupt sheriff's department. Shannon Dykes, Lisa Rogan, who was, I believe, the presiding judge, committed kidnapping beginning in 2020 in concert with the Ontario Police Department and the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. She is subject to federal prison. This is her criminal conduct that she's engaging in pursuant to targeting me as a demon and a sex offender that wears a robe sitting on a bench. License 9 BUS 333 is gang stalking with the Ontario Police at 8:46 a.m. All right, this is the entity that's engaging in that, and this is everything that you're cognizant of while I'm being gang stalked inside of this little peon of a store, 7-Eleven, filled with gang stalking immigrants who are engaging in terrorism of an American citizen that they are conspiring to murder with that city police department, who has a pattern of kidnapping with them and through them. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that, and gang stalking with children is inherent to why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. They are incentivizing and teaching the people of the state that are under the age of majority how to be predators, how to be terrorists, how to psychologically torture and terrorize pursuant to the pattern of conduct, pursuant to the system that's underway in this country. And the Ontario Police Department are serving the public when they are removed altogether from existence. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And you're mindful of everybody that's going to federal prison, and it includes Tracy Banks, where the sun is not over enter her apartment, contrary to what I'm documenting when I'm at her apartment. If you'll recall, for example, at 8:49 a.m., it's 8:47 a.m., and at 8:49 a.m. in May of 2025, which would be the exact same time of year, relevant to what's happening with the fake sun in August of 2024, in other words, and the entity has the fake sun not over my head like I'm documenting, where Linda Reyes is gang stalking me as a gang stalking community manager at Woodside Senior Apartments, proven through the fake sun over the top of my head at Woodside Senior Apartments, where the Ontario police are exhibiting mental illness just like they are now, stalking in a helicopter against a woman, an American citizen as well, who is enforcing her rights, which any American citizen has a right to do, and you shall do in this country, where the police are trying to murder you in a way that they can get away with it, and it have nothing to do with what they are committing as a department. All right, the entity is engaging in this in May of 2025 at Woodside. The fake sun is over the top of my head while I'm opening up Tracy Banks' front door, which is where the fake sun is. That's not over 636 North Vine Avenue. It's also not over Economy Inn at 231 South Euclid Avenue. It's also not over the Ontario Town Square at 224 North Euclid Avenue. It's nowhere in the other state, which is adjacent to California, Las Vegas, Nevada. It's not over what is Alvarado Gardens. All the evidence that's surrounding what Tracy Banks, Woodside Senior Apartments, Linda Reyes, the Ontario Police Department are engaging in as a population, including 7-Eleven, where the fake sun is across the street over the storefront, while the Ontario Police, monitoring pursuant to all of what those demons are doing inside of that store, including pacing around using their telephone as a means of monitoring inside of that store. And the entity is in May of 2025 on video. You can pull it up on YouTube right now as you listen to it. It's at 8:49 a.m. You will see the Ontario Police Department flying in circles pursuant to their demon possession, which is exhibited clearly when they are under the fake sun and engineered like, pacing like psychopaths, like the United Airlines engaged in today at the Metro 102 Apartments. That's criminal summoning. That's what the demons do when I'm giving very damning evidence. Very damning. License 1636555. 1636355. R3. That's the demons of American Medical Response. They stop sounding the sirens after they drive by me. They are at what is 325 West G Street. They drive down Fern Avenue, where I'm showing you the pattern of conduct. So let me read the license of the demons gang stalk with American Medical Response. 9LRU366, 5TCT108, 9GXV491, 9SJJ345, 7WGK572 at what is third-party facilitating venue 311 West G Street in Ontario. American Medical Response is doing so while the fake sun is over me on G Street, and it is not over Tracy Banks' apartment like what I'm documenting, where the Ontario police are flying in a circle. And as I'm reminding you about this damning evidence, the demons that are engaging in surveillance inside of 7-Eleven, at the Metro 102 Apartments, at Economy Inn, at Woodside Senior Apartments, the demons who are engaging in monitoring me inside of an apartment, which is also a sex offense, while they're specifically targeting me, which is proven through the sun, that's over 7-Eleven and not over Tracy Banks' front door at the same time, 8:49 a.m., and the Ontario police are flying in circles. That's the department full of demons who are going to federal prison, including Corey Watson, who committed criminal summoning again today. All right? The entity that is very much triggered by that engages in what is manifesting as demons. That's what American Medical Response is engaging in, demonic activity, and it's criminal conduct while I'm engaging in documentation, and the people of the state are sharing in criminal summoning together. That's an iteration of the same criminal pattern of conduct, using the sirens, using the vehicles, and they stop sounding those sirens after they drive by my person. My person that is under the fake sun, that is not at Tracy Banks' front door, where she was engaged in gang stalking me inside of her apartment home for a prolonged period before she engaged in kidnapping with the Ontario police, who are stalking it in video documentation, podcast documentation, that's putting those demons that engaged in kidnapping on May 29, 2025. Guess where they're going? Oh, you don't want to sound a siren to that, Satan? Because they're going to prison. L. Martinez, C. Torres, Nathan Morgan, and B. Hook, they're all going to federal prison. They engaged in conspiring with me, including Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. These medical professionals are demons that are engaging in the pattern of conduct of criminal defamation with gang stalking medical professionals, EMTs that are engaging in kidnapping and criminally defaming you like American Medical Response are. This is what they're doing when they're criminally defaming you and exercising fictitious authority, where they are abusing the Welfare and Institutions Code, while you are being gang stalked by demons that drive ambulances, police vehicles, fire trucks, like the City of Ontario is doing, while they are gang stalking. And the entity is gang stalking by the Ontario Police Department Department under the fake sun, and you are able to reference evidence as clearly as what they're doing in May of 2025, where the fake sun is showing what is an unmistakable pattern of conduct, putting gang stalking police officers like C. Torres, L. Martinez, Nathan Morgan, and B. Hook in federal prison. All right, and everybody else that engaged in kidnapping, as I've been documenting post the May 29, 2025 kidnapping, and that is the entity kidnapping at Starbucks, and all the people that stayed at Starbucks are going to federal prison. The entity engaging in what is criminal summoning with the Ontario police, like the gang stalker at Securitas, understand that he was gang stalking just like they are now, and that's federal prison. Okay, the entity is going to federal prison. Jason Knighton and Lester Keys, they're going to federal prison, and they're going for longer than 5 years, which is when they engaged in kidnapping me. In concert with Lisa Rogan, in concert with the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, and Shannon Dykes' San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. And those demons that are listening to the truth that I speak, I want to be clear. They know that I'm telling you the truth, and they know where they're going as well, because I told them beforehand. And they engage in gang stalking, which is evidence corroborating everybody that's going to federal prison for the crimes that I'm reciting on this podcast today, August 6, 2025. And that's relevant to the fake sun and American medical response stalking and the path with amplified audible activity, demonic, under an engineer light, demonic, pursuant to maintaining activity in that environment with deliberate purposes of what is monitoring someone in a way that the average person is not suspecting, able, or aware of, or capable of proving, and that's demonic as well. The malice. The demons that think that they're sneaky, that's demonic. That's not demonic. That's why I'm pointing out to you the characteristic of malice. These are demons. License 6FMG259. And everybody that's in their homes. The city of Ontario is going to be prosecuted. The gang stalking immigrant population, deportation. Without hesitation. Without hesitation. Gang stalking at the venue license 72535X3. These are demons that are opening and closing the door while they're going to the Las Palmas Medical Group. Gang stalkers that are in the medical field, just like Arrowhead Regional Medical Center that engaged in what is kidnapping on May 29, 2025. C. Torres didn't make that up by himself. C. Torres engaged in what is criminal defamation with Tracy Banks, who are the people of the state, and her apartment where the Ontario police are gang stalking at the same time today, where the fake sun is not over her apartment because she is gang stalking me. And that's why the Ontario police are flying in circles as demons manifesting before your eyes while the fake sun is over my head in that environment. This is what the entity is doing while I expose them, and they begin sounding sirens and going haywire. Those are the demons that are aware of and are triggered by the truth that I speak in. They are going to federal prison, and they engage in manifesting before your eyes and ears as they are witnessing it. They're witnessing it as I document them, and that's what's relevant behind the pattern of conduct that American Medical Response is engaging in as the city of Ontario. They're contracted with the city of Ontario, but they are in the shoes of the state while they are in gang stalking with the people of the state. The city of Ontario is engaging in that P.O.C., and this is what Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, the gang stalking medical professionals, they're going to federal prison, and justice requires it. This is how you commit murder as an entity. This is how you engage in kidnapping. And they commit murder in their facilities, and then they state inexplicable, mysterious circumstances in those jails, in those prisons, in those hospitals regarding what is likely, most of the time, self-harm when they're murdering them. They're murdering the people of the state, 9HXL328. And this is the criminal conduct that medical professionals, EMTs, who are gang stalking demons, sex offenders monitoring my vagina, but they're not putting that on their background checks and on their applications when they apply to get the position of EMT, when they're engaged in state surveillance in the most demented manners with the corrupt police department, Ontario Police in Ontario, California. The Ontario Police is going to be disbanded. Right? In other words, the Ontario Police is being disbanded, and you're going to use all of the evidence, including this podcast. The entity is gang stalking while my other phone died, and the entity is under the illusion, again, that podcast documentation is less incriminating, less probative than video evidence, and it's not. It is currently 8:56 a.m. crossing path by arriving to their home. I've already documented them under the fake sun at 510. This is D Street, I believe. No, I'm sorry. This isn't D Street. This is Laurel. And the entity is maintaining the pattern of conduct. Hi, you know what street this is? Oh, Palm. Yeah, this is Palm. 510 Palm. And I've documented 8YKF249 gang stalking by pulling into their driveway under the fake sun. That's a facilitating venue where the same police department is gang stalking where they live. Okay? That's the entity that knows exactly what's going on with your panties, with your genitalia, while you're inside of the store, while you're in the homes of the people of the state, which are facilitating venues, not private properties. Tracy Banks is going to federal prison, just to put it succinctly. The Ontario Police gang stalking kidnappers, they're going to federal prison, and they're all done with law enforcement, and that includes Mike LORENZ. He's going to be prosecuted. All the gang stalking demons that are driving around in vehicles, engaging in psychological torture, they're engaged in harassment while they're engaged in menacing, stalking, ominous conduct, stalking with light, being demons, sounding sirens while they're following you around, while they're seeking to harass you and torment you psychologically before they're able to murder you as an entity. That is cover it up. Whoever's putting their hands, whoever's poisoning you, and then you drop dead, the entity that's supposedly investigating it, the entity that's supposedly going to maintain justice for, this is the entity that commits murder this is the entity that commits murder together. That's what's sounding plain in helicopter activity. First of all, the fake church, St. George Church, where I've already documented them gang stalking me while I'm walking by them in the parking lot. And the clergymen are stalking in the path while the fake sun remains over me. I've already documented the Ontario police flying in circles over this fake church full of demons where the clergymen are engaging in the pattern of conduct under the fake sun. Look at the documentation in August of 2019. They're flying in circles over the St. George Church where the entity is sounding helicopter activity right now at what is 8:58 in the morning. This is the entity that's going to be disbanded, the Ontario Police Department. License 9KUT571. So let me recite to you again who's going to federal prison. As of 2025, the entity is going, and it's more than that because you're going to federal prison while you're gang stalking me under the fake sun. But the top of the list, kidnappers. That includes C. Torres, L. Martinez, Nathan Morgan and B. Hook, May 29, 2025. Alex Escobar, kidnapping on July 4, 2025. A. Casada and L. Edwards, kidnapping on July 4, 2025. A. Casada and L. Edwards then again follow me to another Starbucks where the pattern of conduct is underway, pursuant to the statewide P.O.C, by the way. And they're doing so pursuant to what is a threat to engage in kidnapping. C. Hazelwood is going to federal prison, attempted kidnapping, and unlawful search and seizure pursuant to the pattern of conduct that the Ontario Police Department are engaging in right now. That's what C. Hazelwood and Owens are engaging in, gang stalking. They're not engaged in law enforcement. You're not relying on the people of the state who are the ones engaging in gang stalking together, including while they call the police, which is the lie that the Ontario Police proposed as to reason why they were engaging in what is the elements of monitoring. They're engaged in surveillance. The Ontario Police Department are gang stalking me. Everything that they're doing is evidence of that, and it's already established. See, Hazelwood's going to federal prison. Okay, he's documented engaging criminal summoning on June 11, 2025 at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. He's engaged in criminal summoning and attempted kidnapping with Owens on July 15, 2025. He's going to federal prison. All right, the entity's engaged in kidnapping in 2025, and they're doing that with the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, 9KJF451. As I'm showing you, they're doing that with the 7-Eleven, the people of the state on the roads and the highways. The people of the state that engage in criminal summoning like CECURITAS. And they're gang stalking with Arrowhead Regional Medical Center that engaged in kidnapping and the criminal misuse and abuse and the exercise of authority that they don't have. You know why? Because they're gang stalking in the facilities of Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. The entity is also engaged in what is criminally defaming while they are making up information in concert with the Ontario Police. That is C. Torres and Tracy Banks, who manufactured what is the elements necessary in order to engage in what is an arrest under the Welfare and Institutions Code, Section 5150. And they're going to federal prison for it. And Arrowhead Regional Medical Center is engaged in that conspiracy. I've already published this on my website. This is the P.O.C.wordpress.com. And it's directly relevant to the gang stalking that the Ontario Police Department are doing right now with the Ontario Fire Department. Michael GERKEN, Mike LORENZ, Alan D. WAPNER, Paul Leon being removed from office. Ontario Fire stalking in the path. License plate 1628773, truck number 31. They're driving in the shade as they're maintaining noise as the fake sun is not shining. So they're crossing path at that specific moment while they're supplementing the activity. All right, as you walk in the shade and the entity is maintaining loud noise, as you walk in the shade and light is manifesting in the shade and the darkness, that's the supplementing activity. That's what that's for, because you're being monitored. The Ontario Fire Department are crossing paths while the Ontario Police Department is pacing in the sky space. And it's relevant to all the co-defendants that are going to federal prison. And they work for the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. They are a part of what is criminally defaming my character in order to steal property under a secret and fake conservatorship. They're engaged in what is kidnapping with the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department and the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court under more than one iteration of kidnapping, and they're going to a federal prison for it. This is P.O.C. License 2Z ES859, and like I've documented on more than one occasion, I've walked away from the 7-Eleven, and yet you're hearing helicopter activity. You know what that is evidence of? Following. That's a synonym for stalking. Stalking under the fake sun, that's also following. This is the entity that's maintaining a fake sun, however, over Economy Inn, where the Ontario Police Department are stalking. That's why the fake sun remains over that hotel for the duration of the day, and it's obvious stalking by that police department whose employees are going to federal prison for committing kidnapping, and they're also going to federal prison for stalking as corrupt police departments who maintain poised positions to take the life that is conspiring to murder while you're gang stalking as a police department. And literally the helicopter following me from 7-Eleven, RX39819, gang stalking in a white Honda with a paper plate. The Ontario Police Department following as I'm leaving 7-Eleven, as I'm documenting them, is the evidence of the entity gang stalking on a systematic, ceaseless basis. I just want to be clear. The entity has already cut, not only did I prosecute, the entity has prosecuted itself. The entity has proven the weight of the allegations while I provided, in other words, the evidence. And what do the demons do? They engage in what is slamming into that brick wall, proving themselves to be exactly what the evidence unilaterally establishes them as. And that's going toward federal prison terms. Jason Knighton, Lester Keys, the entity S. Patty, A. Morris, Corporal Kemp. You have what is, again, the entity kidnapping and what is 2025 with regard to Tracy Banks' iteration of kidnapping while she's trying to maintain a paper trail. Remember, she's doing this pursuant to trying to make up mental illness while they're gang stalking as a police department. So that's why she's making up information about stuff that I'm clearly asking her, when did that happen? when did that happen and where did that come from? She's not able to make it up successfully in my presence, and the police that are gang stalking as well and lying about it. And remember, they're lying because the Ontario police know exactly about the fact that I don't take any medical prescriptions. They're gang stalking me. They're keeping my vagina under surveillance and everything that I consume. This is why they've been gang stalking in the way that they have, while the entity has been poisoning me and the Ontario police has been acting with impunity. It's relevant that the entity engaged in what is attempted murder as an entity because the Ontario police were convinced, based on their practice in witchcraft as well. These are demons that are convinced that witchcraft was going to have me dropping dead, and you would never hear about the evidence conclusively prosecuting the department, and each demon surrounded with evidence showing how they are targeting me in furtherance of murder and kidnapping to obstruct justice, for which there is no due process and administrative rights that are going to protect your job. You're done with law enforcement and you're going to federal prison. The entity is engaging in this while I am subject to the pattern of conduct and the demons kidnapping as of 2025. They're all going to federal prison. I said their names, and you've also seen them on video. The fake sun is over me. They're in engineered light. The entity that's engaging in criminal summoning, pulling over the demon-possessed people of the state. Are you kidding me? They're going to federal prison. Understand, criminal summoning is an interaction that's a threat to your life. The entity is controlling the narrative, and but for documentation proving it, the entity is the one that states what the targeted individual did, why the targeted individual was harmed, who harmed the targeted individual, and what everybody else was doing and saying. This is how the entity is bearing false witness against my character about property that the state never told me about, while the state is simultaneously gang stalking me and then trying to create a circumstance under Welfare and Institutions Code where they don't have any jurisdiction, where mental illness doesn't even exist, which is necessitating the change of laws in this country forever. But the entity is engaging in that in the same way that they're engaging in that malicious iteration of theft by the government that is targeting an American citizen. And they're doing so because they intend to murder me. They intend to kill me and steal my property. This is what Tracy Banks is engaging in, and that's relevant to her criminally defaming me on video. This is what this unintelligent demon did, and I'm going to prosecute her like any other terrorist and violent sex offender monitoring my vagina without my knowledge and consent. Okay? Just like any other demon on these roads and highways that I'm prosecuting, that I'm documenting, Tracy Banks is going to get it because I happen to know her full name. And I know the malice with which she acts, and it is shared by the Ontario Police Department, who are relying on your mother to bear false witness against you, and those demons under this corrupt system are targeting you through the people of the state, and that's why the people of the state of that status in the targeted individual's life, they're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. All right? And this is P.O.C. The entity that's stalking by helicopter is the entity that is providing evidence against every gang stalker who is surrounded for targeting me under the fake sun at nightfall in engineered light. While they're engaging in any iteration of the P.O.C., you're going to federal prison. They're always engaging in what is threatening my life, and the entity is also then controlling the narrative. That is too much of a threat. It is unlawful conduct. It's a waste of expenditures by the government. While they're conspiring the murder, you're going to cut that off at the neck immediately, and it's federal prison. Justice requires a license 9GPK466, P.O.C. The entity that's flying over my head and stalking in helicopter and following me around while I'm walking on Palm back toward the Ontario Town Square. This is the entity that's engaging in what is, did you see me? Oh, okay, just making sure. This is the demon that's stalking in the alley. Let me get his license plate. License plate 8YFU889. That's the demons that are stalking as a police department using a fool that will accept a federal case just to engage in an iteration of passive aggression on behalf of an entity. Remember, it's the entity that actually won, and that entity is very unintelligent. The proof that Alex Escobar is gang stalking me is the ongoing documentation of stalking by that department day and night in helicopter everywhere that I'm at throughout the city of Ontario, and the fake sun documentation. They're going to federal prison. All right, they are going to federal prison. That's the bottom line. It is currently 9:07 a.m. Remember, the entity has the fake sun over me throughout Ontario. I've been documenting it before 2025. Even though the documentation of 2025 is astounding in and of itself, and the ordinary target individual, you don't have to create this body of evidence, the repository that I've created in order to establish precedent. Because the pattern of conduct is understood, you are establishing the pattern of conduct by a much lower bar. Much lower bar. Okay, you're establishing the entity that is targeting you. And based on the facts and circumstances, what's going to determine that. I'm not going to give you a hard and fast rule right now, but the pattern of conduct is understood, and it is able to be discerned with regard to what the government is doing and the malicious way the government acts. And you don't have to have years of documentation proving it beyond a reasonable doubt. I did this in order to prove on behalf of everybody in this country that the government is targeting American citizens. It's establishing precedent, and it's necessary when you're making these types of allegations, because I understand the significance of having actual law enforcement, but this is not law enforcement. This is corruption. This is organized crime. And these are the corrupt government that thinks that because of its position that you're impervious and that you are also above the law. Go ahead. This is targeting in the, are you going? This is targeting, this is a demon that's stalking at the crosswalk. City of Ontario is in alignment with a vehicle flashing light. ATGR639, her indecision is based on what is stalking in the past. Should I go? Should I stay? She's monitoring. But nonetheless, the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct and is doing so with regard to the necessity. You should have to provide a wealth of evidence so that there's no exception with regard to something that's going to have reverberating impacts throughout the rest of the country. All right, I understand that. And that's fine, and that's just, because I know if somebody made a lot of statements that are unsupported, unsubstantiated, I'm not going to jump behind you because you're black. I'm not going to support you because you look like me. I'm not going to support you even if you say some things that I agree with, but it's not all supported by evidence. I'm not going to support that. And with regard to the government, which is crucial to civilization in the United States of America, law and order is important. Rules and policies to maintain order, that's important. It matters, and you need a body of evidence. So I accept that. But what the entity has done is try to interfere with justice, try to intercept justice, try to obstruct justice, try to delay justice, try to hinder justice. Now that's a federal offense. That's a criminal act. That's a whole other type of offense. And so that's what the entity is engaging in. But the amount of time is not what I'm talking about, because you're going to necessarily need time to show you even the specific environment. You have to get to the end of the day to show you that the demons that's stalking me by helicopter at 7-Eleven at 7 in the morning, yes, they are stalking me, which I'm showing by the pattern of conduct by that entire entity and that police department specifically, but also in that environment, because the sun didn't go anywhere. 7 hours later, it's still there. That's how you're understanding the unmistakable pattern of conduct. And there is nothing that is going to supersede that. Nothing. Not even the work schedule of that demon-possessed security guard. Nothing supersedes that. Stalking with impossible light activity. Gang stalking, license. Psychopaths targeting you while going about the rest of the business with the rest of the population. 8RBG870, and the Ontario Police is gang stalking with them, crossing path on Euclid Avenue under the fake sun, just like they're doing at Starbucks, while I'm capturing the fake sun on this same street at 3:40 in the afternoon. All right, it's already published on the internet. They're engaging in the same thing. 3:40 in the afternoon, Ontario Police crossing path while I step outside, show you the fake sun over 507 North Euclid Avenue. 507 North Euclid Avenue is the street that I'm on right now at 240 North Euclid Avenue. Wells Fargo and Starbucks. This is a 4.5-minute walk. All right, stalking when you're looking at the body of evidence. License 8XMP469. Stalking with the Ontario Police, 74695Y3. The City of Ontario, stalking in the path with regard to my placement in the crosswalk. Stalking with what graffiti protective coatings is doing around the perimeter with flashing light. This is what a demon is doing under the fake sun. And this is positioning at the 280 North Limit Apartments where they are stalking in the path. This is what the Ontario Police Department are doing when they are stalking. Stalking is defined as being in the path, not a matter of chronology. You are going to federal prison when you're at the facilitated venue. Before I get there, stalking in the path under the fake sun, that's remaining over me in step with me as I encounter you. If you are wearing an Ontario Police Department uniform, you're going to federal prison. License 7H46445. All right, license. The City of Ontario, the criminal conduct of stalking, gang stalking, psychological torture, sexual violence by the municipality is the removal of Paul Leon. All right, license plate 9ABR979. This is P.O.C. License 9SJL226. That's a psychopath that's stalking me as I'm identifying them, and I have never physically met them, never met them before in my life, and they're stalking with the signature of Impossible Light moving across 240 North Euclid Avenue. That's the Wells Fargo, the wall that I'm walking beside, while Impossible Light drags across it, and they're stalking at the same street where the fake sun is present after 6 p.m. like I documented at the parking garage where the demons that are driving Teslas charging them are simultaneously gang stalking. The fake sun's in the same position where this demon is engaging in a pattern of conduct. This is an old white male with white hair, liver spot face, looks like a shadow, beard, double chin, license 9SJL226, stalking with Impossible Light. That's a demon, okay? He's giving 65, 70 years old, same pattern of conduct, and the police are stalking through all ages and races, okay? And I want to be clear, when you have white people that are stalking a black woman, there is, I want to be clear, the doctrine, the use of racism, it is an illusion to instill in you a sense of inferiority, all right? That's demonic. Understand that entire system is demonic. It doesn't mean that racism isn't real. You need to understand that it's an illusion with regard to making you feel as though you're less. These white people are stalking me. It's unmistakable that I am a black woman and they're stalking me. And at the same time, they want to maintain doctrines which are entirely of Satan and totally lacking in logic and substance as well, while they are engaging in black women, and they want you to think that white people are engaging in and maintaining an actual legitimate belief that they are better than black folks. You are not, I just want to be clear, the demon possessed are highly unintelligent, I'm telling you that. You're witnessing while they're stalking under a fake sun, and that is going to that's going to be an epic prosecution in a court, okay? With the evidence, you don't have to say a word, the evidence speaks for itself, the hundreds and hundreds of video evidence of what the Ontario Police Department, for example, are doing, and then I'm embarrassing these demons by name, badge number, what they're doing in that environment, the statements that they made, what's going on with the population and the entity gang stalking as a department. You're surrounded. They're already, you don't have to say a word. They're going to be prosecuted and embarrassed. Not only that, the entity wants you to accept things like racism as being an actual belief. They don't actually believe that they're superior. They are demons who are delusional. That's a demonic spirit. And if you actually believe that you're superior, you wouldn't be in the streets stalking. And I'm not stating that this white person in particular suffers from the demon of racism. But what I am stating that many of these demons, they're all racist. They're racist, yes indeed. But they're also stalking me at the same time. Understand, that's also why they're mad at me, why they hate me. Because they're stalking me. And they're also mad at the fact that they're stalking a black woman that they told themselves they're better than. Which also doesn't make any sense. You can look at your anyway, I'm going to leave that alone. That doesn't make any sense. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct. And I just want to be clear, it's demonic. The entity that's engaging in delusional behaviors, the entity that's engaging in what is psychopathic behaviors, the entity that's engaging in what is abnormal, inhumane conduct, that it's demonically inspired. These are spirits that are using the bodies of the people that are exhibiting mental health conditions, while their condition is manifest in their criminal activity. Again, license plate 8XMP469, and that is the contradiction between both being a racist who's superior to this black woman that you're stalking and this black woman's vagina that you're obsessed with. Okay, when you can reconcile that, then we'll have a conversation. Until then, Satan, this is the pattern of conduct where I just want to be clear, it's shattering all of these illusions, which should never make you question your worth. Your worth is based upon who created you and who died for your sins. He who committed no sin became a substitute for you. His name is Christ Jesus. He's the one that tells you who you are and what you're worth. Not some bigot who doesn't even know whether he wants to live tomorrow. He can't even stand the way his voice sounds when he's speaking to other people, if he has any friends. You're dealing with Satan. Satan that's engaging in a miserable system with which they have proven themselves. I prosecuted them, and then Satan went on and they handled themselves. They took themselves out. And that's what you're witnessing. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:17 a.m. This is mental illness. While the demons are stalking in helicopters and planes, stalking with impulsive light activity under a fake sun, engaging in delusional behaviors such as, oh, I'm here because the property owner called me here, and you're stalking. You're stalking. You're stalking, and you're obsessed with me. To engage in that conduct in a manner that's not supposed to be known, because that's what the demons presuppose, that you're not going to know that they're targeting, and the fact that they act like it's not happening is supposed to be evidence that it's not actually happening, and that's not how it works in federal court, and that's not how any investigation is executed. You execute, you prosecute based on the facts, and the facts are that the demons are delusional, and they engage in the same way that they act like the specific environment isn't there, that they're not engaging in the elements of monitoring, that it's not happening, that the targeted individual is the last person that they will be focused on, when the targeted individual is the center of their whole demonic universe, where they are stalking, proven through everything, including their silence, that they're psychopaths who are stalking together collectively as a mentally sick population who are a threat to American citizens who do not know any better. Do not ever mistake or pass over what is your responsibility to know who you are in Christ Jesus, who made you. There is only one true God. And secondly, he is the one that died for your sins. That's a testimony about your worth. I don't care what your mother and your father said about you. I don't care about the circumstances of your birth. I don't care about what the mistakes you've made in your life. He is the one that is the creator of who you are, the fact that you're breathing, whatever your circumstances are, and how pathetic this system is. It should be showing you that your maker is the one that defines your worth. These demons don't have any lives. That's why they're stalking me. While they have jobs, which they should be focused on, but they're stalking me. Their whole existence is fake. They're props. They're all standing on a stage. And all I'm doing is turning on all the lights so that you can see. See, they're all acting and they're bad actors. All of them. It's all a stage. It's pathetic. All right, this is the pattern of conduct in its demonic activity, and it's speaking to the lie that Satan is echoing. And all the demon-possessed, they have already absorbed it. They've already bitten into it. They're already overwhelmed by it. And that's the bottom line. This is not, again, there is truth in that, but I'm prosecuting, okay? But they're inevitable, unavoidable truths that cannot be denied. It's only the non-believer who is hell-bound, okay? They're only hurting themselves, just like you're only hurting yourself while you're stalking me in a helicopter. Guess who's going to federal prison? I can run down a list of names off the top of my head. They're going to federal prison. You're hurting yourself. The entity is engaging in what is delusion, and it's the same condition with regard to those who do not understand who your value resides in, and it is in Christ Jesus alone. Anything else is an illusion, all right? It is currently 9:20 a.m. This has been the documentation of the pattern of conduct, and it starts off with what is prosecuting the Securitas, who's engaged in criminal summoning this morning, and that's getting to the desperation. You need to understand the Ontario police are desperate, okay? In the vernacular that's responded to as I keep it professional on my documentation, because I want to make sure I appeal to a mass amount of as many people as possible in order to spread the truth, to spread with regard to corruption, with regard to what's a threat to your life when you are ignorant, when you don't know what's going on. All right, but in the vernacular, okay, these demons are thirsty. They are thirsty. They went to that extent to just be in my presence. Oh, wake up, Erica. Hey, wake up, Erica. Oh, they called me and told me that, you're going to need to leave. Those thirsty demons are engaging in what is an iteration of the P.O.C. They want to be close to me. They want to be around me. They want to put handcuffs on me. They want to take me to jail and never let me out. They want to engage in monitoring me for the rest of my life. That's literally what these demons fantasize about. And this is the substance of spells and voodoo and black magic and sex rituals that they participate in. And it has contributed to their serious mental illness, because the demon possessed, those who are in darkness, they operate through illusions. I'm showing you the specific environment. They're literally existing in an illusion. This is mental illness that is rampant. And I've given you tangible evidence to prove the truth of what it is that I'm telling you. And I'm also doing that as a prosecutor, because you prosecute and convict based on facts, what you can prove, not just what you know, okay? Not just what you believe strongly in your heart. It is all of the above. It is what I believe. It is in alignment with what Scripture has said. This is spiritual first, and you're looking at the carnal that manifests second. The entities engaging in criminal activity based on what is their mental illness, which is a product of their spiritual condition. And they're going to federal prison because they don't know Jesus. That's the bottom line. That's literally the up and down part of it. To put it succinctly, they don't know Jesus, and they're going to a lot of people are going to federal prison for it. And that's how serious salvation in Christ is, okay? It is currently 9:22 a.m. This is P.O.C, a bunch of demons of all races at the Ontario Town Square. They're all under a fake sun. And this is what's so pathetic about this, the demon-possessed, those that are in Satan following their father. They're all concerned about me. They're not even minding their business. They don't have anything else to do. They're all taking time out of their day to stalk me. They're all under a whole fake environment. The fake sun is sitting here at the end of the day. And that's how you know Corey Watson is going to federal prison. Okay, it is currently, again, 9:22 a.m. This is P.O.C. at the Ontario Town Square. The documentation of the entity that's engaging in what is targeting me and doing so pursuant to a pattern of conduct showing unmistakable targeting. Unmistakable, undeniable, and it's that which is submitted in court in order to prosecute. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 9:23 a.m. Let me document also the white van. One last thing, sorry. There's a white van with no plates on it, and I did document the VIN number. They're engaged in surveillance. They're engaged in what is the pattern of conduct of gang stalking. It is a white 2024 Ram van. It is, the model is the ProMaster 3500 window van with a high roof. It is white, and the VIN number is 3C6MRVUGXRE122646. And that image will be uploaded to the Google Drive. That's a third party that's gang stalking. The fake sun that's right here at this C Street turn circle outside of the entrance of what you've heard me stated a lot, the Ovid Family Community Library. Okay, I am here after 6 p.m. and so is the Ontario Police under the fake sun. Those are demons that are going to federal prison. They just followed me from the Ontario Town Square to 7-Eleven and back through the neighborhood, gang stalking with all manner, every level of the government. The Ontario Police gang stalking this morning under the fake sun following me. The Ontario Fire Department under the fake sun gang stalking following me. The Ontario International Airport under the fake sun following me. Stalking, monitoring, demons, mental illness. No longer closeted. And this is attributed to those who are going to be removed from the positions that they hold. That is Alan D. WAPNER, who you need to know is a sex offender, and he is monitoring this black woman's vagina. Okay? Stop giving into racist ideals as though it's not that it's not real, it's not that it's unjust and unfair, it's that it is an illusion and it is spiritually rooted. And if you are bitten by that plague, that racism, which happens, a lot of black people, people of all races that are subject to this hate, it's a spirit, and you can become infected by it. That's how you have the irrational conduct of black people that hate themselves, white people that hate themselves. And it's manifested in the relationships that they maintain where they spew hatred based on the color of your skin. It is literally antithetical to Christ Jesus who created us. It is an evident of his glory with regard to making us in what I like to refer as the various flavors. It's an act of his glory. It's magnificent in all the different ways that he's made us, in the languages that we can speak, and the cultures that are represented. Satan himself, who hates us because we're made in God's image, wants us to hate ourselves. And you hate yourself while you hate a black person while you're white. You need to understand that you're hating yourself. You are made in God's image, and so is that black person. You are a fool, okay? You've been made an imbecile by the spirit of Satan, in case you did not know that, and you're spreading ignorance while that spirit has been made popular. It has manifested in what is the system of racism, an institution, okay, which this country is rooted in. Historically, I understand that. But you need to understand what is rising above that. It's the work of Satan. That's what Satan is doing. I'm exposing the same targeting system in 2025. Gang stalking. Okay? You're talking about slavery, a targeting system way back in the day. Okay? If you are aware with regard to how this country started, it's a targeting system, and it is based on what Satan is doing, the lies of the enemy. And just because Satan calls himself a Christian and associates himself with Christianity and the Bible, you are able to read the Bible yourself and find that they are lying. They know nothing about Christ Jesus. And just because you have been led astray, which is what Satan's purpose is, that's why he wants to repel you to Scripture, repel you to Christ Jesus and who he is. He loves you and died for you. And because somebody blasphemes his name and the word of God, that does not make it the truth. That's what Satan does. He deters, he distracts, he deceives. That's what Satan does. He's the enemy of your soul. He does not want you to come into relationship with Christ Jesus. He is the only living God. He is the one that's giving revelation about what these demons thought that they were doing in secret, and they're not. It is Christ Jesus and him alone that gives discernment, that gives the ability to see what the human eye cannot see. And not only that, prosecute it in the way that every human eye will be able to witness it, and you cannot deny it. Only in Christ Jesus. I want to be clear, there is no other God beside him. There is none before him, and there will be none after him. And he is coming back. He is coming back in judgment. He has given warning after warning after warning. And it is only the wicked that will act in defiance. Just like you're witnessing me document, this is a defiant spirit. It's pursuant to what is the spirit that resides in them. They are hell-bound. And they're also bound to federal prison because that's where they're headed. Okay, and that's just getting to what is their spiritual destination. If you don't repent, you're going straight to hell. I'm not going to mince words. That's what Scripture teaches you. Okay, if you do not if you do not repent, you are a hell-bound demon. I just want to be clear. You are demon-possessed while you're gang stalking. This is criminal activity that you're being exposed for. And in case you did not know what's wrong with you, in case you do not know why you have this, why you're compelled to follow me around, you don't even know me. You don't understand why you're filled with such hatred about me. You've never even heard me. You've never even encountered me. You don't like it. Why are you so filled with anger and animosity and hostility by words that don't apply to you if it's not true? But the reason why you're so filled with that strong emotion, because demons fill you, and you are going to burn in hell if you don't repent. And that's just the truth. All right, outside of Christ Jesus, there is no hope for mankind. That's why they're gang stalking and murdering each other. All right, it is currently, again, 9:28 a.m. This is the pattern of conduct. And this
This is the evidence of stalking by the Ontario International Airport. The fake sun's over me. And this is where Amazon Prime is the source of what is crossing path in the sky space monitoring. Also monitoring as I am publishing evidence about Amazon Prime gang stalking the company, the employees of the company, and the Ontario International Airport and Alan D. Wapner. Fly the Ontario Town Square, where Securitas is on video gang stalking at 7:10 a.m. It's 10:10 a.m. This is the fake sun over me, which is the evidence of targeting by the company Amazon Prime that's headquartered in Seattle, Washington. This is a third-party company that's engaged in monitoring, also established by Amazon Prime's targeting through its employees in the engineered environment, monitoring with communication devices, engaging in the perpetual sex offense. This is monitoring my genitalia, while the entity is also engaging in federal stalking and conspiring murder as Amazon Prime, the company, is engaging in, while gang stalking is underway and facilitating it amongst the population, who are all under the fake sun that's still here. I'm documenting at 4:07 p.m. on this same street where the fake sun is over me in the same manner, where the Ontario police that are gang stalking me with the Ontario International Airport, Amazon Prime, facilitated by Alan D. Wapner. It's engaging in the P.O.C. at this same Ontario Town Square at 6:22 p.m. I'm documenting the fake sun that's still over me at this venue while I'm standing at the sidewalk where that demon is gang stalked with a minor child monitoring me, and the fake sun is over me at this same Ontario Town Square, 224 North Euclid Avenue. And what is the Ontario International Airport? There is no hovering aircrafts taking off from the airport to engage in what is crossing a path in the activity creation. These are the demons that are all in engineered light, pacing all around, monitoring together, engaging in surveillance, conspiring my murder and kidnapping which is state action that Amazon Prime is engaging in, including the use of its commercial vehicles and its employees that are engaging in what is relevance pertaining to the federal RICO case against Amazon Prime, the company, and the people of the state gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport. The entity is engaging in this pursuant to that P.O.C. This is where the fake sun is remaining at 6:22 p.m. This is where the entity is keeping the fake sun at 1:07 p.m. This is the Ovid Family Community Library at 215 E.C. Street. And this has nothing to do with what would, at the same time, remember, I'm documenting at 10 o'clock in the morning, the Ontario police are gang stalking at 231 South Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun is over my head, the roof of that economy inn, where the Ontario police are engaged in what is recognizing federal group stalking and monitoring through the iteration of what is criminal summoning, where the gang stalkers are present with the police, engaging in what is something that is calling for, under the superficial appearance of things, where public corruption is underway, the necessity of the presence of the police, where they are gang stalking together under the fake sun that's that economy inn, where Amazon Prime is gang stalking using commercial planes. This is in furtherance of the conspiracy to murder and kidnap.
have. They're engaged in federal stalking, monitoring what I'm uploading on the venue of the internet, and that is the prosecution civilly and criminally of that company, and it's the same analysis with regard to criminal facilitation. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:15 a.m. and in the natural environment the sun would not still be here, which is what I'm documenting, at 6:22 p.m. where I'm at the Ovid Family Community Library, and the fake sun is right here, which is 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where you're looking at what is pacing while they're walking in opposite directions. They're all walking in engineered light. They're under the fake sun that's still here over 7 hours later. This is the entity that's engaging in that at all venues in the city of Ontario, which is the pattern of conduct at Amazon Prime, another corrupt company engaging in that P.O.C, profiting from state surveillance, systematically murdering American citizens while they're gang stalking as a corrupt business. This is psychological torture that Amazon Prime is engaging in as well. As I document, they're repeatedly engaging in what is clear targeting. All right, this is clear targeting, and science is going to serve to prosecute Amazon Prime. This is P.O.C. That's audible activity, relevant positioning, calling it another summer night event, a concert at the Ontario Town Square in Engineer Light under the fake moon. It is P.O.C, courtesy of the City of Ontario, and the gang stalking underway while performing a concert. You'll be surprised who the actual guest of honor is, what the actual focal point is, contrary to the songs that they sing and who everybody's fixing their eyes on the stage. It's occurring in the Engineer Light. The entity is pacing in commercial planes, and the entity is pacing by the Ontario Police Department. This is P.O.C, and this is, again, the pattern of conduct which the entity calls its own little festivities, calling it all manner of titles. This one referred to as the Ontario Town Square Summer Concert, Savor the Band. The band event is a bunch of demons gang stalking in the specific environment. And they're off key on top of that. It's currently 7:53 p.m. This is P.O.C at the Ontario Town Square, where the City of Ontario, the State of California, is engaged in the system of federal group stalking and monitoring, which is embedded into everything that is happening. P.O.C.